with the Royals at Fenway Park. The Twins will travel to the south side of Chicago to play the White Sox. The Dodgers host the NL West rival San Francisco just after 9 p.m. The Cubs will travel to Milwaukee to begin a series with the Brewers, and the Yankees host the Angels at 6:05 p.m. The Phoenix Suns are one win away from moving on to the NBA Finals. Tip-off between the Clippers and Phoenix is scheduled for 8 p.m. on ESPN. For our latest sports news and updates, keep it tuned right here. It's 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
This is The Drive, coming at you live from the Cobble Chevrolet GMC studios in the heart of Lincoln, America.
This drive is going to toughen your hides.
On 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Here are your hosts, Connor Happer and Ravi Lula. Presented by the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese.
Welcome in. Happy Monday. This is The Drive. However, not Connor Happer and not Ravi Lula. It's Nick Sainert and Mike Schaefer. Hello, Mike.
How we doing, Nick?
Good. Full weekend, to say the least. Obviously, athletic director news. I was on vacation, so I was with limited cell service last Friday when the news broke. It was tough. I had to walk about a half mile up to the hill where there was limited cell service, where I could read an article about Bill Moose just abruptly, quote unquote, retiring. So it was interesting weekend. Then plus with the College World Series, it was crazy.
Yeah. One of the things that's fascinating about the current times is that you pretty much have the news and everything at your fingertips. And it's really rare to be in a situation where like something happens and you either have no idea or, you can't access it. Like in your case, because of the cell service. My best example of anything like that is I took a trip to Iceland and like I got a cell phone specifically over in Iceland, like got a SIM card and all of that so I could use it. But I had like a very limited data plan and really only ever wanted it for like the GPS map aspect of driving around. So I didn't use the internet for roughly like 5 or 6 days. And by the time I like logged in, I found out that Kevin Durant had signed with Golden State. Yeah. And it was just like, and it was like 2 days after the fact. And I was just blown. Two different things blew my mind. One, the complete return of Pokemon with Pokemon Go happened during that trip. And I came back to a world in which all of these people that had no longer played Pokemon for over a decade were talking to me about it. And then the Kevin Durant thing. And both of those were just like, I remember logging into my computer, going straight to like ESPN and just being like, what the hell is happening? This is wild.
It was so weird because I just woke up and I was sitting by the lake because we were at cabins and stuff on the water. And I turn on Twitter, or I open up Twitter and I just see crazy world in Husker sports, Husker athletics today. And there was no news. There was nothing was loading. And I was freaking out. I'm like, of course I go on vacation and I miss it right away. Everything just fell apart. So I ran to the top of the hill and I read one article and I'm like, this is insane. I have to stay up here. I stayed up there for like 30 minutes because I was like, there's no information, no reason why. It came out of nowhere, which we can all agree on. It was insane. And then later that day, I just found myself continuing to go to where there was limited cell service and finding new information and trying to listen to podcasts, but it wasn't loading because it wasn't reliable enough. So just a crazy, crazy Friday, crazy weekend in general. But we're back. Obviously, no Happer. He's on a long road trip with his new wife, going to go see some Royals games out in Boston. And I know he's going to make some big stops. So we are here Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Thursday is going to be a little different. Ravi will be back with Rico, and then Friday it will be myself and Ravi as well. Now, Schaefer, obviously, since I wasn't here, what was your initial reaction to everything? I kind of want to get a gauge on that. Where did you stand right when you heard about it? What was your first thought? What did you think happened?
So the rumblings had come out Thursday night. I was getting texts from people about sort of rumors of something's going to happen with the athletic department, something's going to happen with Bill Moose. And I know that from conversations I had with other people, like Moose was pretty ensconced on the idea that he was going to stay here through his contract. And so then I thought maybe this news that people were talking about is he's just going to announce on Friday that this is going to be his last year. And then they can start this like big long AD search as they need it. And then, I was actually sitting in the parking lot here at the Ticket because originally we were going to tape Friday's show because the drive was on location and the recruiting hour necessarily wasn't. And so Happer and I were going to tape Friday's show, and I was doing a different radio interview for a different radio program. And I, like, in the middle of it, they broke in with breaking news that Moose was out. And at that point, it's my entire Friday is like, all right, this is very different now. So I at least had kind of the night to think about it before. So it didn't completely catch me off guard. But as more time has passed, I guess I come down with this very probably overly simplistic view. Nebraska more than likely doesn't make this move unless they already know what direction they're going with the next one. So I expect that while you and I are doing radio for the front half of this week, I wouldn't be surprised if Nebraska's next AD is announced as we're doing this show. So prepare yourself for that. I don't know who it is. I've gotten a lot of people asking me like what I'm hearing about the AD search. And as much as I feel relatively tied into what goes on with Nebraska athletics, I have not really put a lot of feelers out there. I haven't, because I just, part of me feels like if it's done, it's going to be out there soon enough. And then the other part of me is just like, it's just so far removed from like my normal day to day. So I actually don't have like any real, sometimes I feel like I have nuggets of information.
Yeah.
I don't really have anything in this case. I'm flying blind like most people.
Well, and there have been rumors and speculation about Ed Stewart and all them from the Big 12, and we'll dive into that later on. However, we have had a couple of days for all this to marinate, kind of sit with us. We've had some time to think of some new thoughts and stuff. So if you guys have any ideas or questions or concerns or anything, feel free, text in 402-464-5685. Honda of Lincoln hotline, Starter Heyman text line. Both those are open to you guys all show long. Like we said, Ed Stewart, that was kind of the name that's been brought up the most. Former Husker. He's 49 years old. He works for the Big 12 right now. We can kind of dive into this right off the bat. Is that a lot of people are, and I saw it earlier today with the midday show, is many people are hoping that kind of kicks a move back to the Big 12 off. I don't see that happening. It makes no sense, in my opinion, from a money standpoint for Nebraska to make a move like that.
Yeah, I don't know, other than just that Nebraska was better when it played in the Big 12. I don't know what the appeal would be beyond that. Geographically, yes, it makes more sense, but Missouri is gone. Yep. Colorado is gone. So 2 of the other 8 that you closely align with, because this move isn't happening for the sake of the magical series with Texas Tech. This move would be happening because Nebraska would be able to play Oklahoma and Oklahoma State and Iowa State and Kansas. Texas, for those people who want that as well. I just don't see how this is beneficial. I mean, I think for Nebraska, you're in the Big Ten now. Figure out how to be successful in that regard. Utilize the massive gap in resources that the Big Ten affords you that no other conference comes close except the SEC. Nebraska's not going to the SEC.
No.
So it doesn't make any sense to me why they would go in that direction. And I don't know if let's say it is Ed Stewart, his experience at the Big 12 doesn't necessarily mean Nebraska should go back to the Big 12. It does mean that they have an AD who would be positioned if there is sort of a pandemonium free-for-all what's happening with college football as we know it, because he would have a variety of relationships. But the safety of the Big Ten and the resources of the Big Ten remain the strongest reasons to stay in that conference.
Well, and more specifically, the resources that Nebraska make this job appealing, in my opinion, because you're going to have unlimited amount of resources, fan support, all that will be at your disposal, which I think is what makes this such an appealing job, even though Nebraska athletics, more specifically the football program, is not doing it so hot or not doing as well as people were hoping.
Yeah. And I just, I think some of this, like, let's go back to the Big 12 is rooted in Nebraska was better in football when they played in the Big 12. Like, I don't know that that's going to be true. If you go back to that conference, you're not magically just going to rediscover what made you good in 1995. or even 2005, so I think that's where that sort of nostalgia comes in. And I wouldn't think that hiring your athletic director should be solely based on trying to get to another conference or not. I mean, I think it should be more based on what can this individual do to lead you into a pretty uncertain time in college athletics. I mean, with NLI and with Nebraska bringing in its own media department and everything else, like whoever takes on this responsibility, and it could just be Garrett Classy gets the interim removed from his name. There's a lot that has to happen in there, including fundraising and trying to bring back money that this program has sort of lost, both through the pandemic, understandable, but also I highly doubt Nebraska's fundraising at the same level that it has been in recent years because of the struggles of these athletic programs. So there's whoever takes this job, you got to roll up the sleeves right away. Like this isn't a turnkey home, so to speak. This is you're going to have to put a little elbow grease into everything. Absolutely.
And I had this conversation over the weekend with some of my people close to me, and they were saying that, hey, this is a retirement. This is a celebration. This did not feel like a celebration. When I think of a celebration, I looked at like Barry Alvarez at Wisconsin, where he announced that he was going to retire at the end of June, and people were planning on it. This was not a celebration. Do you think Bill Moos, for what he did at Nebraska, did he deserve a celebration? Did he deserve a send-off for basically his legacy, which a lot of people have been talking about is basically hiring the coaches?
Yeah, I don't know that time will tell whether Bill Moos has a legacy or not. I mean, I think that in the moment in October of 2017, he's what the program needed, in the sense that coming off of Sean Eichhorst, you wanted someone who was going to be visible to try to put a face with Nebraska athletics, because Sean Eichhorst most definitely wasn't that. I mean, I think that when you look at Bill Moos, it comes down to this. He very much liked the ability to come to Nebraska, to utilize its resources, to put himself in front of the fan base, and to be able to be mouthpiece makes it seem bad, to be able to be a spokesman and a figure involved in college athletics where people really care. I mean, I don't know that he necessarily had that at Washington State to the level that he certainly did at Nebraska. And I don't know that he had that at Oregon when he was at Oregon before. So I do look at it like he was able to kind of enjoy the fruits of everything that a Nebraska AD gets to have. And his hirings were basically being able to hire the guys that people wanted in every respect. I mean, Scott Frost was the top choice, or the most popular choice. Fred Hoiberg was the top choice, or the most popular choice. And Will Bolt would have been the second most popular choice behind Rob Childress, which would have been an impressive pull. And if you think about the timing of things, and if Rob Childress knew what he knew, or what he knows now, if he knew that then, that, time was short at Texas A&M, instead he was looking at it as, I'm going to have this legendary team in 2020, which, go look at what Texas A&M was when the season ended in 2020 and who they lost in the draft. Like there was a team with a ticket to Omaha, or at least the Super Regions.
Well, and it had been successful in the previous couple years as well. He was coming off of miraculous seasons down in Aggieville or in College Station, wherever you want to call it. So yeah, Rob Childress, Will Bolt was the best option for Nebraska, and that's obviously panned out well. Now, obviously, Bill Moos, what do you think that the expectation is for this football season? Does any of that change now with a new AD coming into play? Is it obviously it gets a little harder to breathe for Scott Frost, but how under a microscope will Scott Frost be when this new AD comes to town? How do you feel about that?
So I don't know. I might just come in at it from a different angle than other people, but the way that I sort of view it is, there's no change if you're Scott Frost. Like, you needed to win anyway.
Well, and Bill Moos set that. He made the news a couple months ago. I can't remember how long ago it was, when he came out and said, I expect 8 wins. I expect 7 or 8 wins.
I mean, I don't think that changes a whole lot if you're Scott Frost. Like, I mean, you can't be overly worried about who the next AD is, because you need to be worried about winning football games. And so if you win games, it takes care of itself. And there's a good chance that whoever the next AD isn't we haven't seen someone last in this role longer than somewhere in the neighborhood of 7 years. So, Eichhorst was 2013 to 2017. Osborne was 2008 to 2013. You've had Steve Peterson was 2002 to 2008. Bill Byrne before that, so we romanticize this AD thing, but really you're looking at someone that could be there for, you hope, a long time, but realistically could be there for 6 years. If you're Scott Frost, you came to Nebraska to be there for a hell of a lot longer than 10 years. Yeah. I mean, this was the final stop. Like this is where he wanted to be. Yep. This is a program he wanted to build, all of that. So I just don't know that you could allow yourself to get too worked up with, oh, I have a new boss, because if you don't win football games, you're going to have a new boss at some other program because you're not going to be here anymore.
That's a good point, because you can't sit there and tell me that the expectation was 4 wins. Obviously,
right?
Especially at a place like Nebraska, you can't.
No,
the expectations don't have to be laid out blindly for all of the Husker fan base to know that we expect more than 6 wins, more than 7 wins, and we've had that with previous coaches, and we've still fired them. So obviously, the pressure is still on Scott Frost. Obviously, we still have a loaded show to get to today. We're going to spend a lot of time talking about the future of Nebraska athletics, who possibly their next athletic director could be in-house, or if they decide to go outside of the Nebraska family. But going away from that, when we come back, we're going to dive into the College World Series, because it was a bizarre weekend at the College World Series. I want to get Shaver's thoughts on that and more coming up next on The Drive.
This is The Drive on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Hi, Sean Callahan here of HuskerOnline.com, inviting you to join us here on 93.7 The Ticket every Saturday morning. Now in our new time, we're on from 8 to 9 with the weekly Husker Online radio show. We'll give you the latest in recruiting. We'll talk about what's going on with both football, basketball, and we'll probably share a few stories from the inside. It's every Saturday morning right here on 93.7 The Ticket. It's the Husker Online radio show from 8 to 9 a.m.
Here's to days spent roaming, and to sleeping beneath the stars, to casting another line and letting time float by. From Shadron State Park to Indian Cave State Park and every recreation area, historical and state park in between. Here's to your adventures, your memories. Here's to 100 years of your Nebraska state parks. Plan your next trip today at nebraskaparks100.org. Sponsored by Nebraska Game and Parks. Aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Baseball's back, Lincoln, and that means Fireworks Fridays are too. Come out to Haymarket Park for Friday home games to celebrate the Lincoln Salt Dogs' 20th season with baseball, giveaways, and of course, post-game fireworks. We're glad to have you back in the stands. Watch us light up the sky for our celebration season. Get your tickets to the best night out in Lincoln at saltdogs.com.
The Mercado by Certified Piedmontese Beef is Lincoln's newest full-service butcher shop, offering premium fresh-cut steaks and house-made sausages daily from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. They exclusively carry certified Piedmontese beef raised right here in Nebraska. When shopping at the Mercado, you're not only supporting local, but also enjoying the official beef of Nebraska athletics. With prime-grade tenderness and unparalleled nutritionals, your backyard barbecue is about to get a serious upgrade. Stop into the Mercado today, located off 84th and Havelock in Lincoln.
Hi, Sean Callahan here for Koppel Chevrolet GMC, and there has never been a better time to trade in your car, truck, or van, and Koppel wants to be the place to do it. We have sold and serviced vehicles here in Louisville for over 45 years, and to show our appreciation, Bob would like to invite you down to the dealership to get a multi-point inspection, oil change, alignment check, and Kelly Blue Book evaluation for your vehicle at no charge. Yes, you heard right, no charge. This is a limited time offer. Go online at koppelcars.com, schedule your visit. You must have an online appointment to qualify. Offer ends June 30th.
Herrick Services takes this time to wish everyone a happy and healthy Independence Day weekend. We live in the greatest country in the world and are thankful for our freedoms that are signified by this holiday and the sacrifices made to make it possible. This important message comes to you from Bart, Mike, and the folks down at Herrick Services, who are vending specialists here in Lincoln. Their quality service and expertise has earned them a fine reputation. That's Herrick Services, on the air because they care. Take a look at your backyard. Does it feel like something is missing? You're right. Now is the perfect time to get an above-ground swimming pool from Bonsall Pool and Spa. Above-ground pools require less space than in-ground pools, are temporary structures if you ever choose to move, and are low maintenance. Plus, you'll never have to worry about the kids getting bored in the summertime anymore. Visit BonsallPool.com to schedule a pool service or visit them at 33rd and Highway 2. Bonsall Pool and Spa.
Shopping for new flooring? Come see the new Hot and Heavy at O Street Carpet. Hi, Steve Carper here. Hot and Heavy is a fabulous new flooring product. Loose lay planks or tiles with non-skid backing that look great and stay in place. Super easy to install, easy to maintain, about half the price of alternative flooring. Hot and Heavy, beautiful, durable, inexpensive. Install yourself in stock at O Street Carpet.
O Street Carpet.
1732 O Street. We want to make you a customer for life.
Fall is football season, and Lincoln Parks and Recreation has the official NFL flag football season for all kids from kindergarten through 8th grade. It's a fun 5-on-5 co-ed format with no blocking, and all players are eligible receivers. Every player gets an official NFL reversible team jersey and flags that they can keep. Space is limited in the league, and need-based scholarships are available. Register today at teamsideline.com/LincolnNE or call 402-441-7892.
You're listening to The Drive with Connor Happer and Ravi Lula, sponsored by the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese.
Welcome back in. Nick Sainer, Mike Schaefer with you on a Monday. Connor Happer is out the whole week. Ravi will be back on Thursday. Now, Mike, I want to talk about this College World Series. It was a bizarre weekend on top of the Nebraska football athletic abrupt retirement of Bill Moose. On top of that, the College World Series had something of their own happen on late Friday night, early Saturday morning, where NC State, who played Vanderbilt on Friday with only 13 players, including a pitcher who played first base and was 3 for 3 during a moment against Kumar Rocker.
Incredible.
Unbelievable. Only in Omaha, which makes the College World Series great to begin with. And then they played with 13 players, lost 3-1 to the Commodores, which would have set up a matchup on Saturday. However, it was deemed a no contest at like 2:15 in the morning. What was your thought when you saw number one no contest, and it just what did you think when you saw that no contest was the ruling from the NCAA?
Well, I mean, to me, it had become apparent that it obviously had spread throughout the team to the point where they weren't going to have enough players to be able to play. And I think it was Kendall Rogers who had a really good timeline that ran through everything as it happened. And that I thought was really helpful because it eliminates sort of the guesswork of things and the idea that like someone, either Vanderbilt or whoever, was trying to pull strings behind the scenes and make NC State go away. I mean, the disappointing thing is they were the talk of the tournament. They had come into that situation, and they, in that game, they lost 3-1 undermanned, or outmanned, and almost gave themselves a chance to go to the finals. I mean, it was a remarkable situation, but it comes back to this. I mean, there's protocols still in place. COVID hasn't gone away. Like, your team has an outbreak, you're done. I mean, it sucks. Like, nobody wants this to happen. And the only real way to prevent it is to have most of your players vaccinated. So like, it's just, I feel bad for NC State because they had a tremendous season and they didn't get to finish it to its conclusion, but I can't pretend like this wasn't always an option and won't be an option moving forward. I mean, we're going to enter a college football season in which I don't think, if you're Wisconsin and the outbreak that you had last fall, if that happens again this fall, those games aren't going to be no contests. They're going to be forfeits. Yeah. You're not going to, you're not going to get a lot of sympathy. I've already seen the SEC, and I believe it is Greg Sankey sort of comment on this, but they're not going to have a lot of sympathy for teams that have outbreaks because at this point, you've made, or your team has made, personal decisions. And if you can't play, they're moving on. I mean,
Well-
that's basically what the SEC commissioner said. I expect a lot of college football to be similar to that, because if the sport is going to return, then, you know, you try to get as many of your players to get vaccinated as possible, and you hope that you don't have an outbreak. But if you do, like, everyone else is moving forward.
Well, and the reason I think that it was controversial to begin with is because the one of the players that tested positive was unvaccinated, but then due to contract tracing, they lost 4 additional players, but they were all vaccinated. So there was a lot of controversy saying, when does it stop? When is that line drawn where the contact tracing just goes away? And I don't know if there's a certain instance, or we've been told that when it's going to go away. That's just part of it, in my opinion.
Well, it's just the protocols that the NCAA has in place. And like any other association, they have rules, they have protocols, and they follow those. And unfortunately, in NC State's case, it resulted in being declared as an outbreak as opposed to just something to monitor. And once you hit that phase, you're done by their own standard. And so, you know, it's difficult because you're talking about public health and you're talking about sports, and the goals aren't the same in this regard. In sports, we want to be able to see a champion crowned no matter what the situation. In public health, you're trying to prevent further spread within that team. And so I don't feel like it's a situation where anyone gets to come out and look good. I mean, if you're NC State, you're upset because you didn't get the completion of your season. If you're the NCAA, you're upset because it mars what had been a pretty fantastic CWS.
Unbelievable run with Arkansas.
The games have been good. You haven't lacked for star power. You've had great drama and late innings of a lot of these contests. So there's just a lot to really, I think, just enjoy about this. And we don't get to, because once again, we're talking about vaccinations, outbreaks, and COVID. But the reality is it's not going anywhere. I mean, people have to be comfortable that this is part of life right now. And until we get to a point where the mutations and the severity of the disease aren't so strong, then hopefully we can move forward. There's no right answer. Like, someone's going to hear my answer right there, and they're going to be really upset, but I don't know what else to say. Like, I follow the guidance of
and that's all you can do.
community.
That's all you can do. That's all the teams can do. We saw Mississippi State do it just the rest of the tournament, as they're not going in through their main lobby now because they don't want to risk it, because now they're in the finals. But it was such a crazy path of events or timeline of events, because if Mississippi State, that game on Friday night, and that Mississippi State and Texas game could have been the national championship.
Yeah.
And we could have crowned a champion at 1:15 in the morning when they got done. But thankfully for Vanderbilt's sake, Texas won against Mississippi State, causing a take-all game to advance the finals on Saturday. But man, this benefits Vanderbilt because they get an extra day of rest. They would have had to start Jack Leiter on Saturday.
But now they get to start him in the championship.
Now they get to start him tonight in the championship game against Mississippi State. And so that's where I think the controversy comes into play, is when do we stop with this testing and the contract tracing and everything? Because Mississippi State fans were pretty pissed that they couldn't talk to their players after the game. I was there on Tuesday night. I don't know if you've been able to make it out to Omaha, but I was there on Tuesday night and by the team hotel on Mississippi State, and people were crowded around Rowdy Jordan and crowded around Landon Sims and all those big name players. And that's part of being a fan in Omaha. And that's part of why you make the trip to Omaha, is for that connection with the players. And now they lost that. And so they're not happy about that either.
Yeah, look, and there's no one that's going to be happy in this situation. Well, I mean, whichever one of these teams wins a title is going to be happy. But, you know, as it plays out for NC State and the reaction from it, like, it's all part of being part of the association. None of this happens if you're not in the NCAA. You're not in Omaha playing for a title if you're not playing through the NCAA standards of going through their regular season, qualifying for their postseason. You just have to, unfortunately, go along with the associate. Like, these games don't have any meaning if it isn't for the fact that it's being played for an NCAA championship.
No.
And so it's so hard to parse through all of that, because we want things to be decided on the field. And in this instance, it won't be. And then, as you said, you know, Vanderbilt benefits in the sense that they don't have to play an extra game. So therefore they get one of their two best, if not their best pitcher is going to be available to pitch against Mississippi State. The good thing there, if you're the Bulldogs, is you well know Jack Leiter at this point. So it's not like this isn't a surprise. This isn't a new name. You were probably going to get some version of him, even if it was just in relief at some point.
And in addition to that, you're probably going to see Kumar Rocker on Tuesday in some action, part of the game there, whether it's in relief, whether somehow he starts there. On the Honda of Lincoln hotline, 402-464-5685, the Starter Heyman text line gave says, how can we say that the vaccinations will make it safe when 4 of the 5 were vaccinated? It's not necessarily that that's the end all be all. That's not going to solve every problem, but it's certainly going to help.
Yeah. Well, and look, it's also about transfer too, because you can be vaccinated and get it, and it's harder to transfer it as a vaccinated person. It's about the damage that can be done to the human body, and it's less severe if you're vaccinated than if you're not. So you're trying to make things better. There's just this inane idea that things are going to be perfect, and that's just not how it works. And especially when everyone's learning on the fly, as we have been for the last however many months. I mean, there is no expert on COVID because COVID didn't exist as we knew it until December or whatever of 2019. So, there's no playbook for this stuff. And I just feel like, and not to be the guy to defend the NCAA, because I don't want to be that guy, but I feel like some of the anger directed to them is unjustifiable. There's a set of rules that everybody agreed upon when they chose to play the sport this year. And unfortunately, and those rules came with protocols, because the alternative is nobody gets to play.
Yeah.
So which is it? Do you want people to be able to have the chance to play, and as long as it's deemed safe that they can play, they get to play, or no one gets to play? Because those were the options. And unfortunately, NC State gets caught up in it.
Well, you know this better than anybody. We've seen this in recruiting throughout all sports with the dead period, just so that eventually, like we have now in June, guys can take visits. And so we've seen this where you actually have to, if you don't abide by these rules and the protocols and health and safety guidelines, then everybody's going to suffer.
Yeah.
And we've seen that in recruiting. Now we saw it in college football. We saw it in college basketball, where there just had to be a fluid schedule. Mark and I were talking about it this morning, where it was, hey man, listen, I don't know if college basketball is going to be the same this year. We have no idea what it's going to be like. Obviously you're going to have a schedule, but there's going to be a thing where we don't know if they're going to say, hey, yeah, we're going to play a team on Tuesday, but now we can't play you on Thursday. We have no idea what's ahead.
Yeah.
And so it's just, we're all going to have to be fluid and be willing to adapt, even though the vaccinations are out, in my opinion.
If you want to avoid the testing, which then can bring all of this along, then your players would need to be vaccinated. So therefore they wouldn't have to be tested, and then you can move on from it. Every sport is going to deal with this in some fashion, because bubbles are not going to exist for the 2021 season. I mean, the NFL, we've seen it play out in this regard, where you have some high profile players have talked that they're not going to get vaccinated, and you have their coaches basically begging them to do it because the NFL is blatantly said, it's going to be a lot harder to be an unvaccinated player and play in this season. The standard of which you're going to be held to is very high. The expectations for the testing, if you miss it, you're not going to be able to play that. So they're basically just setting a really stringent standard in an effort to try to get more people to vaccinate. So therefore they don't have to test as much, and seemingly wouldn't have outbreaks. And so it's just, I don't know, it's difficult.
And there was a lot of backlash that the NCAA got for sending out this announcement of the no contest at 2:15 a.m. in the morning when nobody was awake. And I don't read into it that much, because
that's the timing in which they got the news.
You want to get the news out as soon as possible, because if they would have waited until 8 o'clock in the morning or 9 o'clock in the morning, and they said, we notified NC State at 1 a.m., people would be, why didn't you let us know earlier?
Right.
And so it's just a sticky situation, but crazy situation. But it has been a phenomenal College World Series.
Yeah, and that's what you
don't want to
take away from it. And it has, because everyone's going to think about this, going forward. Not everyone, but people that remember it are going to think of it as, oh, that's the COVID College World Series.
Well, and the worst part of it is Vanderbilt, extremely talented, but I worry about them if they do win the national title. People are going to say, oh, it's not a real national title because they had a no contest. And that's what we're going to have to live with. Yeah. And so I just do not – there's so many ways and so many alleys that you can go down and believe certain things. But listen, this is what it is. This is what we have to deal with, and we just have to move on and accept it because there's nothing else we can do. And if Vanderbilt wins it, they knocked off a very good Mississippi State team in the finals. If Mississippi State wins it, then we have nothing to worry about. And we wrap up a somewhat pretty successful College World Series, pretty exciting College World Series.
So do you have a prediction at this point in time?
I like Vanderbilt just because they're pitching. I worry about their offense, but I mean, part of it is Mississippi State. I picked Texas to win the whole thing, which Husker fans obviously didn't care for, but it's hard to come.
They're really good.
It was hard to come back from losing your opening game. It was hard to come back, as it is for everybody. Vanderbilt has an opportunity to do it and win the national championship. So interesting stuff going on in College World Series. Their finals game starts tonight at 6 p.m. When we come back, Rico's in next for What's Poppin' here on The Drive.
This is The Drive on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. In every office, there's two types of people. There are those who bring in bagels and those who eat the bagels that someone else brought in. Everybody likes the first person. Be that first person. Weekday mornings at 7:30, you have a chance to win a business box of bagels from Bagels & Joe. All you have to do is shut up, Sipple. 2 questions for you, 2 for Sip. Win, and the bagels are yours. Lose, well, you don't want to lose.
You lost Monday, you lost Wednesday, you're a loser.
Shut up, Sipple. Weekday mornings at 7:30, brought to you by Bagels & Joe. Early break with Sip and Jake.
Joined by Dominic Raiola. His son Dylan is a class of 2024 quarterback. Dylan was here Friday night for Friday Night Lights camp.
It was very thought out how we planned our trip, and going there after we went to the Clemsons, the Alabamas, the Georgias, I'm glad that he felt that, because you forget how special that place is, and you forget how special that place can be with a little bit of winning.
Early break with Sip and Jake from 6 to 8 every weekday morning. 93.7 The Ticket. Fox KFXL weather. Sponsored by John Henry's Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning.
We'll see a slight chance of showers this morning, a better chance of scattered thunderstorms later this afternoon. We'll top out with a high of around 84. Heading into tonight, a slight chance of rain with lows dropping down to around 64. Tomorrow, partly sunny, a slight chance of thunderstorms with a high of around 85. I'm meteorologist Tim Wright for 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Hi, Sean Callahan here for Koppel Chevrolet GMC, and there has never been a better time to trade in your car, truck, or van, and Koppel wants to be the place to do it. We have sold and serviced vehicles here in Louisville for over 45 years, and to show our appreciation, Bob would like to invite you down to the dealership to get a multi-point inspection, oil change, alignment check, and Kelly Blue Book evaluation for your vehicle at no charge. Yes, you heard right, no charge. This is a limited time offer. Go online at koppelcars.com, schedule your visit. You must have an online appointment to qualify. Offer ends June 30th.
Get in, get out, and get your hands on a great career. At Southeast Community College, we have more than 50 programs of study to choose from, and our class sizes allow for more personal attention and a comfortable learning environment. Take a tour of our 3 campuses in Beatrice, Lincoln, or Milford, or visit the Career Advising Center if you're not sure where to begin. The fall semester starts August 23rd. Go to southeast.edu/academics to find your next step. SCC, your path to possible.
Now, I know what you're thinking. Where can you get a straightforward loan for a new set of wheels? Liberty First. Liberty First Credit Union looks at things differently. No hidden charges or early prepayment penalties, and rates as low as 1.98% APR. Talk to a lender who's here for people, not for profits. People like you. Liberty First Credit Union. Thinking with purpose. Rates may vary depending on year and miles. Subject to credit approval. Not available for current LFCU loans. See Liberty First Credit Union for details.
Hey, sports fans. Rico here with HIS Auto Care 70th and Van Dorn. Carfax recently awarded us as a top-rated auto service center for 2020, and Lincoln Choice Awards voted us as the 2021 top independent auto repair center. Call us at 402-488-8934 for superior service bumper to bumper. Mention this ad and get 7% off. Doesn't get any better than that. Rico for His Auto Care, 70th and Van Dorn. God bless you.
Baseball's back, Lincoln, and that means Fireworks Fridays are too. Come out to Haymarket Park for Friday home games to celebrate the Lincoln Salt Dogs' 20th season with baseball, giveaways, and of course, post-game fireworks. We're glad to have you back in the stands. Watch us light up the sky for our celebration season. Get your tickets to the best night out in Lincoln at saltdogs.com.
Ken Richards has long been a trusted name in Lincoln for insurance, and he's now with Brokers Insurance Agency with the same great service as always. Brokers Insurance Agency works with more than 15 companies to help find the best policy for you to avoid any long hassles. Also, if you're looking to get into the insurance business as an independent agent, they have the formula to make that process smooth and successful. Call Ken with Brokers Insurance Agency today at 402-420-5353 or visit brokersinsurancenE.com.
What's on the program for this fine day?
I insist that Pop's the sound. The best is missed unless Pop's around. What's up?
What's going on?
What's crack-a-lacking, bro?
What's poppin'?
Yo, yo, yo! Pop, pop!
On the Drive with Connor Happer.
What's Poppin' is a segment that we do. I almost did it. I almost said it what I used to hear on the radio, but I did not. Hello, Rico.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm doing well. These headphones aren't plugged in.
Looking for a place to plug in your headphones.
I don't need them. I'm great.
Rico can adjust on the fly.
Hi, I'm fine. What's up?
Not much. We're tackling this thing as we go along.
You guys are not the normal people that I talk to.
I know. We hate to disappoint.
What is this? I need my Happer and Ravi time.
Happer's not here. Happer is not going to be here for a week.
He abandoned me. I'm very sad, actually.
You're happy. You need to be happy.
I'm okay. I don't mind Happer. Look, I act like I hate him.
You hate Ravi, right?
I do hate Ravi. That is true.
Well, Ravi's going to be back Thursday, and you get to do a show with Ravi.
I know. I hate Ravi. People love our shows, though.
3-hour text bag, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is that how that goes? All right. What do you got for us?
Some stuff and some things. Like, first off, shout out, and I just forgot his name, and I apologize. But somebody brought in a Nintendo.
You're doing
64.
a shout out, and you don't know the name.
Yeah, shout out to a person that I forgot.
It's not a shout out.
Give me a second. Hold on. I have the person's name on here. It's fine. Shout out to Fred. Shout out to Fred. He brought in a Nintendo 64 and Conker's Bad Fur Day, and I'm going to take it home and I'm going to play it if I can find a television that has AV support.
What was your first video game console?
It's me and my cousins. It was mostly his, though. It was a Sega Genesis.
What year? Do you remember?
I don't know. It was
a long time ago?
Late 90s.
Schaefer?
My first was a Nintendo that my parents bought. Or actually, it might have been my sister and brother used newspaper route money to buy at a garage sale in like 1995. So the Nintendo was pretty old at that point already. And then I bought my first system that I ever bought was a PS2. In between, we had an N64. And then I saved up my own money to buy a PS2 right around the time that I would have been going to high school. So like 8th grade, 9th grade, right in that stretch. So it's a magical moment when you get that system for the first time. You kind of know what's going on a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Like we got the N64 given to us, and I liked it a lot. But it's like when you had to buy your own, and then you have to buy the games that go like. I don't know, it just means a little bit more at that point.
You're just like, this is my baby, and nothing is going to come between us.
I once had to send my PlayStation stopped working. The PS2 stopped working.
Oh,
and I contacted PlayStation, and this is like before I had any concept of how the world really works. And I was like, hey, this isn't working. And they're like, well, here's what you can do. You can box it up and send it to us, and we can try to fix it. Or you can just buy a new PlayStation. So I boxed it up and I sent it to them. And it took like 6 weeks, but they sent me back a PlayStation that works and still works to this day.
Nice.
And they didn't charge me anything for it.
Wow.
And it wouldn't have been under any sort of warranty. But whoever it was that I was talking to was nice enough that they're like, yeah, just
They're like, this is a kid, just do it.
This idiot doesn't know what he's doing.
That happened to my PSP, which PSPs were way ahead of their time, and Sony needs to remake them and bring.
I
them
always
back.
wanted a PSP.
A PSP was just a Game Boy, but it was PlayStation.
So could you be ahead of your time if you're behind Game Boy?
No, because it was better than Game Boy. It was like it was Nintendo Switch Lite,
which I still don't understand what a Nintendo Switch is.
I don't really either. It's like it can be.
This is
handheld.
your world, Rico.
It
If
can
you don't know,
so
no one knows.
Well, I haven't played Nintendo in forever. So a Nintendo Switch, like it could be handheld, and the little controllers like slide to the side.
Yeah, but I don't get that. How can it be both handheld and a system platform?
Because it has its own little screen, and then it has the little dock that you plug it into, and then it sends, instead of being on that screen, it sends the
HDMI.
signals through the HDMI, and it goes to the TV.
What in the world?
Yeah. No.
And it's pretty awesome. But the PSP was that, but before that, and it was amazing, and it had its little disc cartridges, and it was fantastic, and the graphics were terrible, but I loved it.
The PSP, I always wanted it because you could play MLB The Show on it.
Mhm.
And I had an Xbox 360 at the time. And I thought, man, this would be so cool.
I
Xbox.
played Madden. Oh, what Madden? The one with Vince Young on the card. I think it was Madden 10.
Oh, and the Tennessee Titans.
I
uniform?
played Madden 10
Oh, that
on my
wasn't 10.
PSP.
That would have been
like 08, right?
That'd have been 08.
08?
Yeah.
Okay. I played Madden 08 on my PSP, and it was terrible graphics, but it was so much fun. And then I literally tossed it on my bed from like 2 feet away, and I'm not a tall person, so it wasn't that high up. Tossed it on my bed. It lands on my bed, and I go do something else. I come back, and I go to turn it on, and the screen is like cracked and shattered. And I was like, what is happening? So I called Sony, and I sent it, and I never got it back.
I don't know why I've just thought of this, and there's no reason either of you, because you're both a little younger than I am, you probably wouldn't have played this game. Did either of you play EA's NFL head coach game?
No, I always heard of it.
They made a coaching simulator where all you can do is just coach.
Yeah. I heard of it. I never played it.
It was such a bad game, and yet I was so attracted to it. Like it was like I gotta do this. Like,
darn it!
I know it isn't fun, and I'm not enjoying the actual game day when we have to do this for this 8-hour experience of me setting up the plays that the computer may or may not run successfully, and then having to watch it.
And they're like, yep, that's exactly how we drew it up.
That was the same thing with NCAA Football 14, the recruiting. I was addicted to it.
The recruiting was terrible.
What was the recruiting in 14? So I retired in 13.
So it was basically you had a top 150 players that you could
only get 25,
but you could offer.
Yeah.
You could only offer 25. So like you could like
So you had a board of
players.
150,
Yeah.
but you could offer 25 from that board.
Yeah, you could only have 25 that you were like actively recruiting.
That's sort of what it was before, but I think it was you could only have a board of 25, right?
Yeah, you could only have the board of 25, and you could go through, and take them off or add them
Mhm.
as you wanted. And you had 500 recruiting points that you could go through, and you had to, in increments of 5, add them up onto there. And I hate it. And I still have 14, and every time I go to play it, I get all the 5 stars that are interested in my school, and I just go all the way up to 500 or all the way up to 200 or max it out on that person, and I'm like, all right, good to go, whatever.
Well, the worst part of it was that I found myself simulating the games just to find out if I got the commit from the
You
number
were
one
the
player in
worst.
the country.
You're the worst. The games are the best part. Although
it was all the best parts.
So
There's no,
me and sports games are terrible because I hate losing so much that if I put it up to the hardest difficulty and I can't win like 2 or 3 games in a row, I bump it down to like rookie, and then I'll win like all the games. And I'm like, all right, I need to go back up, and I'll go and I'll like literally lose. I'll be in like medium difficulty. I'll lose a game on like a last second something. I'll turn the game off so that it doesn't save. And then I'll go back in and I'll win the game. I can't. And then like I hate it because I'll go undefeated every season. I go, this isn't challenging at all.
Yeah.
But then if I lose, I'm like, I hate this game. It's stupid.
Yeah, you got to be able to find that like level, which for me was all American on NCAA, where it still gave me enough of a game, but I still probably won at like a 97% clip.
Mhm.
But I could be challenged. That's kind of what. Because I hated Heisman. I always felt like Heisman was too ridiculous.
It's
And
impossible.
It's
forced
like
you
all
to-
Madden on Madden.
Well, it forced you to play a certain way that wasn't fun or entertaining.
Like you actually had to play football.
Right. Versus like, oh, well, I'm going to try to throw for 300 in the first half with this quarterback and then try to do 300 in the second half.
And then I'm going to put my running back at quarterback and we're going to run options.
It was unbelievable.
That's all.
What else you got for us?
It's fine.
I could go on that for the rest of the hour, but you know.
So you just want to sit in the 4 o'clock hour and talk video games?
I mean, I wouldn't say no. Researchers develop world's first weight loss device.
Say that again.
Researchers developed the world's first weight loss device.
Is it a muzzle because you can't eat?
Pretty much.
I would hate myself.
It is a device that is fitted by a professional dentist to your upper and lower back teeth, and it uses a magnetic device to pretty much keep your mouth shut.
Yeah, no thanks.
That's it. They're wiring your mouth shut so you can't eat.
How do you get it undone?
Yeah, I don't know. They said people lost on average 6.36 kilograms, which I should probably convert to pounds, but I'm too lazy, in 2 weeks, and were motivated to continue with their weight loss journey. I don't think I would be.
There's better ways to do it, folks. There are better ways.
Cardio.
Like Farrell's.
What is Farrell's?
Farrell's is a gym here in town. I'm actually going to have Jeff from Farrell's Gym joining us here on Wednesday on the Recruiting Hour. Me sitting in. You can learn more about it then.
Yeah,
we'll introduce you.
I sure will.
I should go there.
Thank you, Rico.
Hey, no problem.
I guess you can buy an AV adapter at Walmart.
I might have to do that.
Or let Fred know that you need an AV adapter.
No.
But shout
Fred's
out
loaning
Fred.
it. Fred's doing enough already. He's loaning me the game and the console and 3 controllers.
He's pretty trustworthy. He must not know you very well.
Oh, no. When it comes to video games, I'm very trustworthy. I might clean up his Nintendo 64 for him, actually.
Are you still streaming nowadays?
I stopped for about a month and a half, but I'm getting back into it this week.
I see.
It's fine.
All right.
Take a break.
Well, thank you, Rico.
Nude sunbathers in Europe have been fined $1,000 each for getting scared by deer and running into a national park.
The people are running into a national park?
They did. They got scared by a deer. They were naked. They ran into it.
And they were fined because they
got
were
lost.
naked in the national park?
Because they got lost and they were there for too long and they violated COVID restrictions.
Okay, speaking about naked people, I want to talk about this. Naked and Afraid.
Yeah, great show.
Where do you stand on that?
Great show. Love it.
Horrible show.
Love
Horrible
it.
point.
I've never watched it.
It's fantastic.
Would you ever do it?
No, because I'm not
You're
not
not stupid.
I'm not that guy.
You're not that guy.
No, it's not that I'm not stupid, it's that I wouldn't survive. It's not stupid, it's awesome. They're like professional survivor experts, and they're like, I want to push the boundaries of my survivability. I'm gonna be naked. You're gonna send me to Brazil in the Amazon, and I'm gonna survive for 21 days with one other person. And it's amazing.
Okay. Thanks, Rico. I'm not.
You
a fan.
interested?
No.
You should
I
watch
think
it.
it's stupid.
You should watch it.
Not interested in the show. I'm not interested in doing it.
Every time they send somebody
I'm
to
wondering
South
why
Africa,
deer scared people so much.
They just got scared by the deer. I don't know.
The
Every time
deer
they
are
send
scared of
somebody
them.
to South Africa, though, on Naked and Afraid, they never make it to 21 days. South Africa, not great. A lot of lines. They get scared.
Okay. Hour number 2 coming up next on The Drive.
Follow Connor and Robbie on Twitter. At Connor Happer. At R.A. Lula.
I don't know. I don't manage my Twitter.
You're listening to The Drive.
Now's the time to schedule your air conditioner check with Bryant. Make sure it's ready to keep you cool and comfortable when you need it most. Bryant Air Conditioning and Heating. Call 467-1111.
Listening to this Allstate commercial about savings might be the hardest thing about getting those savings. Save for simply becoming an Allstate customer. Save more for adding DriveWise. And save even more for driving safely. Visit Allstate.com or contact your local agent for a quote today. Allstate. Minimum effort, maximum reward.
Not available in every state. New customer savings based on early signing discount. Drivewise is an optional feature. Savings vary based on how you buy. Subject to terms and conditions. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Smoothbrook, Illinois.
At Mountain Dew, we support the best and baddest disaster relief group in America, Team Rubicon. To show our support of Team Rubicon, Mountain Dew put in $1 million. And now you can help Team Rubicon too. Look for specially marked Team Rubicon bottles of Mountain Dew, Diet Mountain Dew, and Mountain Dew Zero Sugar. Enter for a chance to win weekly prizes at MountainDewTR.com and donate to Team Rubicon. You'll earn exclusive rewards when you do. No purchase necessary. U.S. residents 18 and older. Subject to rules at MountainDewTR.com. Ends 10/3/2020.
Your home isn't going to fix itself, and you're busy enough as it is. So let Cornhusker Construction put the work in to upgrade your house. They do everything interior and exterior, including full remodel jobs. Are your kitchen and bathrooms outdated? Cornhusker Construction can help with that with new flooring, painting, drywall, and anything else. Take advantage of their summer sale with 4% off for the rest of the summer. Call in today at 308-708-0709. Cornhusker Construction.
Your home is your empire. Protect it with Empire Fence. Get a free instant quote with the online estimating tool at empire-fence.com. See an upfront estimate with no hidden fees. An Empire Fence can provide privacy and improve the appearance of your home. Keep kids and pets in or out of your yard. Increase security and add value to your property. Visit empire-fence.com now to view the stylish and maintenance-free possibilities for your home and get a free instant online quote. Let Empire Fence protect your empire.
At Buffalo Wings and Rings, they've crafted a new league of superior chicken sandwiches. Meet the Ringers. It's premium, house-made, beer-battered, fried chicken served buffalo, Korean, or MVP style. Head to Buffalo Wings and Rings Lincoln and raise a glass to superior chicken. 2 locations at 68th and O and at 40th and Old Cheney. Buffalo Wings and Rings.
Ambition Electric is your source for quality, reliable electrical work. Joe has been in the business for 20 years and loves helping his community of customers to design visions and spark their dreams to life. With Ambition Electric, what you see is what you get. They honor the price they tell you and never go over budget. Whether they're checking your lights, changing out your service panel, or replacing your receptacles, they'll do the job with attention to detail and no cutting corners and with safe and thorough work. Call Ambition Electric today at 402-217-3415 or go to ambitionelectric.com.
Beat the heat and save on a new cooling system from John Henry's Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning. Combine new system rebates and LES incentives to save up to $2,500. Don't wait until your old system breaks down in the middle of summer. Take advantage of these great offers and beat the heat. Go to jhlincoln.com or give John Henry's a call today.
435-5555. John Henry's Plumbing, Heating, and Air.
Since 1905, Sartor Heyman Jewelers has been through many world-changing events. We have stood strong with you and at times held on with you through the storms. Sartor Heyman is not just a jewelry store. We are 4 generations of family in the Nebraska community. We've laughed with you, celebrated with you, and at times cried with you. We're still here and strong as ever, waiting to serve you. We'll get through this together. Sartor Heyman, your hometown jeweler since 1905, official jeweler of Husker Nation.
There are fans, and then there's you. You live it. You breathe it. You want to soak it all in. Most sports talk shows are fine, but you find yourself craving more. You need the Recruiting Hour with Mike Schaefer and Connor Happer. Each day, we break down what's happening on the recruiting trail and on campus, bringing you guests from all corners of the college football world. The Recruiting Hour with Mike Schaefer and Connor Happer. Weekdays at 2 p.m. on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com. On the internet. KNTK FM Firth. 93.7 The Ticket. 93.7 The Ticket. Sports news go now.
I'm Nick Sainert. Husker men's basketball will play in a charity exhibition game on October 31st against Colorado at Pinnacle Bank Arena. All proceeds will go to local organizations that were directly affected by COVID-19. Tonight is Game 1 of the College World Series Finals between Mississippi State and Vanderbilt. Jack Leiter is the expected starter for the Commodores. First pitch from TD Ameritrade Park in Omaha is scheduled for 6 p.m., and you can catch all the action on ESPN2. Yesterday in Major League Baseball, a grand slam in the second inning helped the Dodgers pull away from the Chicago Cubs 7-1 at home. The Boston Red Sox got the best of Garrett Cole and the Yankees at Fenway Park 9-2. Joey Gallo hit a home run in the first inning to help the Rangers beat the Royals 4-1. The Padres topped the Diamondbacks 5-4 at home, and Shohei Ohtani hit his 25th homer of the season to help the Angels beat the Rays 6-4. Tonight at 6:10 p.m., the Red Sox will begin the series with the Royals at Fenway Park. The Twins will travel to the south side of Chicago to play the White Sox. The Dodgers host the NL West rival San Francisco just after 9 p.m. p.m. The Cubs will travel to Milwaukee to begin a series with the Brewers, and the Yankees host the Angels at 6:05 p.m. The Phoenix Suns are one win away from moving on to the NBA Finals. Tip-off between the Clippers and Phoenix is scheduled for 8 p.m. on ESPN. For our latest sports news and updates, keep it tuned right here to 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
This is The Drive. Coming at you live from the Copple Chevrolet GMC studios in the heart of Lincoln, America.
This drive is going to toughen your hides.
On 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Here are your hosts, Connor Happer and Robbie Lula. Presented by the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese.
Welcome back in, 4 o'clock hour of The Drive, 93.7 The Ticket, theticketfm.com. Nick Sainer, Mike Schaefer with you today. Want to move on here, talking about possible candidates for the AD job, and I want to hear from you guys. 402-464-5685. Starter Heyman text line, Honda of Lincoln hotline. Both those are still open for you guys all show long. Obviously, we touched on it earlier in the show in the opening segment about how Ed Stewart, part of the administrative office in the Big 12, is kind of the name that's been leaked by Dennis Dodd of CBS Sports, Lars Anderson of Sports Illustrated and stuff, but obviously nothing official there on that front. There's been a lot of talk about whether or not Nebraska should stay inside the Nebraska family for this upcoming hire, or if they should dip outside the Nebraska pool like they did with Bill Moose, like they did with Sean Eichhorst. Obviously, there's been mixed results there. You'd say Bill Moose's was successful to this part just because of the hires that he made. However, Sean Eichhorst did not work out well. We can all agree on that. So, Schaefer, there's been names of Matt Davison. There's been Garrett Classy, who's the interim right now. But then there's also been another name outside of the Nebraska pool, Jamie Pollard at Iowa State. Who would be your ideal candidate for this opening? Does it matter to you whether or not they stay inside the Nebraska family?
No, it never does. I mean, it doesn't, whether it's a head coach, an assistant coach, athletic director. To me, you're just trying to find the guy or girl whose ideals or what they want to do align with what you want to do. And then you move forward with that. And I can see scenarios where some of these names that you've mentioned, could be successful, with Nebraska. And so like Jamie Pollard, for example, is a really trendy, popular one. And it's funny because if he hadn't hired Matt Campbell, would people think of Jamie Pollard in the same way? Yeah. The Matt Campbell hiring has been a massive success. Jamie Pollard's hired other football coaches that weren't like Paul Rhodes, not a massive success, So I think that it's sort of a little revisionist from time to time because people are like, oh, this guy's a tremendous AD. Well, yeah, when your programs are good, you look like a tremendous AD. And I'm not trying to say that he isn't.
No.
It's just that the curve of which we grade ADs on is entirely based on how someone else performs, not that individual. Like, you can be tremendous in all aspects, but if you hire a football coach that isn't very good, you're not going to last for a very long time.
Well, then how do you suggest we grade athletic directors in a way? Is it the fundraising? Is it the facilities that they've been able to either improve or build? How would you grade an AD if you're looking at a program?
I think you have to do it more than just the individual of any one sport. So I think it needs to sort of be the total success of an academic institution or of an athletic institution. So, if you've got multiple programs that are successful, if your football team's making bowl games, your basketball team's threatening for NCAA bids, your baseball team's making the NCAA, your volleyball team's making the NCAA, in Nebraska's case, wrestling's doing well, or bowling continues its streak and track is doing. So to me, it's just, if your program seems healthy and successful, the rest of it sort of follows. Like, your boosters and the money is going to follow if the programs are successful. So I think that's sort of where it comes in. I threw this at Happer on Friday, and I'll throw it at you right now. I wonder if we don't make more of the AD job than it actually is sometimes, because Bill Moose did exactly what people wanted him to do, and it hasn't led to, revitalized massive success from Nebraska. Is that Bill Moose's fault because he hired the guy that everyone thought he should hire?
Yeah, he did what everybody wanted.
And there's other things in it. Like there's other aspects of his job that, maybe weren't as successful, but I guess the end point that I'm trying to make is you can get a guy who can do a lot of things for your program, but ultimately he has to rely on the success of his football coach or his basketball coach or both to look successful. Jamie Pollard right now, when you hire Fred Hoiberg and that goes great, when you follow with Steve Prim and that goes great, when you follow with TJ Otzelberger, obviously I think they had fired Prim here this last year, but you follow with Otzelberger, then it's going to look pretty good, especially when you pair that with, by the way, you have the single best overachiever in college football, not named Pat Fitzgerald, as your head coach right now, and Iowa State's a potential top 5 team this year,
which is crazy to think about it.
It is a weird sentence to
as
say
a
out loud.
Nebraska fan and just as a college football spectator in general, we're used to Iowa State having the 2-8 record at some point in the season.
So, and again, all of this, like Jamie Pollard seems great, and to do what he does on a smaller budget seems great. So I'm not trying to say that he isn't a great AD. I'm just saying that if he had hired another Gene Chizik instead, like, does he look as appealing to Nebraska fans? I don't know.
And that's where I kind of wonder about what Nebraska needs out of their athletic director, because I think we can agree that this last year, whenever Nebraska has been in the headlines, it's kind of been because of a statement that they've made that people are either laughing about. We can go back to the Oklahoma debacle for that, with Scott Frost just making comments the other day about Luke McCaffrey, or indirectly Luke McCaffrey. It's been Nebraska's kind of been this team, this program, more specifically their football program, that people have kind of made it into a joke. And so I wonder if a guy like Jamie Pollard or even Ed Stewart, let's throw him in there as well, that might have a little more respect, not only in the conference that we're in the Big Ten, but also just in the college football world. I wonder if something like having them at the helm and as our voice of the program and as of Nebraska athletics, if that's something that can help out Nebraska kind of transition from where we're kind of the, I don't want to say laughing stock, but where we're made fun of rather than taken seriously, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think you're onto something there. I think part of what you want from your next athletic director is that when he speaks, people in the college football landscape, especially, are interested in listening. I don't think that was ever the case with Bill Moose. Never felt like Bill Moose had clout in his own conference, or certainly with the college football world. It too often felt like a story would break that involved the college football world, and Bill Moose would be on the opposite side of it, increasingly sort of making him look out of touch with where things are headed. And so, you want someone that can be perceived as a power broker, but they can't get there until they actually have reason to be there. I mean, whoever it is, even a Jamie Pollard hire isn't going to come into the Big Ten and people are going to be like, oh, wow, Jamie Pollard's part of this conference now. I mean, so it's something that has to be earned, and it's earned through success. And so I think that can be important over time. I do think that your next athletic director, you're going to want them to sort of create a culture in which people feel like they can be successful and that their work is enjoyed and appreciated. Those are all sorts of things that you want. And I think that the framework is there for Nebraska for whoever takes this job. Like assuming that it's not Garrett Classy promoted from interim to the full-time athletic director, if he sticks around, he's been a big part of what Nebraska's done in transitioning in their media program, the NIL stuff. Being very involved with student athlete life, which is the under-discussed aspect of all of this. People talk about the wins and losses. They don't talk about the programs and initiatives that athletic departments and athletic directors put forth for their student athletes. So I think that Nebraska's in a pretty good situation for someone but more than likely, you're going to have to build your name off of how you do at Nebraska more so than your name was built and then you come to Nebraska.
And I want to continue on this after we take a quick phone call from Tim, 402-464-5685. Tim, go ahead.
Hey guys, you guys are just talking about how it would be nice if we had an athletic director who would be kind of known around the college football era. And the thing is right now we basically have an athletic director, and his name's Scott Frost. And our volleyball program is awesome. Our basketball program, they look like, we're heading in the right direction. And our baseball program is doing unbelievable things. Volt's doing great things. Nobody expected this type of season that we came off of with him just being there this soon. But the thing is whoever steps into this position, it's almost like you got everything right in front of you. And what should not even be questioned right now is the football program. But we have every right to question it. If we can get our football program turned around, that's icing on the cake for this athletic director. But the problem is no matter who comes in and takes this position, they're not going to change Husker football. It's all on the shoulders of Scott Frost. He's going to be the one that this athletic director ties himself to. Because if Scott Frost cannot achieve what we feel like he should have achieved by now, and he needs to make a bowl game this year, he needs to be competitive and get 8 wins next year, and then maybe 8-9 wins after that. It needs to be an escalator, and we need to climb up. So I honestly hope whoever comes in can just kind of sit back and watch this thing go. But honest to God, guys, whoever we bring in, whether he's here right now or whether we're bringing somebody in, they are all tied to Scott Frost, because Moose had a decision. And I don't know, maybe something's going on with Moose that hasn't been released to the public. I don't know yet. But whatever it was, Bill Moose basically got saved by whatever is going on. He got an easy out because, and I don't want to say that. Maybe he has health issues, and I don't want to wish anything bad upon him. But he did not have to confront Scott Frost and look Scott in the eye after this year when we do not make a bowl game and say, you know what, Scott, it's time for you to go because you're not getting the job done. It sucks. I feel sorry whoever has to come in and look at Scott Frost within a year or two and tell him that, because it's coming and it's inevitable. Frost needs to go. I feel sorry for the next AD. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Tim. My response to that is whoever this next AD is, they understand they're not going to be blind to the college football world. They're going to know what they're stepping into. They're going to know who Scott Frost is. They might, if it's from the outside of the Nebraska pool, they're not going to necessarily know maybe how much he means or how much that hire meant to the city of Lincoln, the fans of Nebraska football. However, no matter the realistic part of it is Scott Frost is going to have to make nice and make friends with this AD. This AD will come in and say, hey, listen, I'm not afraid to fire you. I have no connection with you. And if it's somebody from the outside world, if it's a Matt Davison, if it's a Garrett Classy, then that might be a different story. However, if it's somebody from the outside pool, it's going to be Scott Frost needs to make nice with that AD rather than that AD making nice with Scott Frost, in my opinion.
Yeah, I just think that this decision has to be bigger than Scott Frost is currently your football coach. Like if the whole idea is that this person is supposed to come in and dictate one way or the other what happens with Scott Frost, that ignores that that's going to be taken care of on the football field. Mm-hmm. Like if they go and they win 7 games, he's obviously coming back for 2022, and then you measure him off on that. If they come in and they go 5-7, there's a good chance he's back anyways, because you have someone coming into this season. I don't think you're going to have a decision made after just 1 year. I do think that of the biggest takeaway I have from all of it is that Scott Frost is going to be back for the 2022 season almost regardless, unless Nebraska goes something absurd like 2-10.
Yeah.
Which if Nebraska goes 2-10, there's no reason anyone should be back.
No. And I also wonder if it is an in-house guy, and we've heard Matt Davison's name be circled around the wagon and brought up multiple times. And I'll just come out and say it. I don't think he's qualified for it. I don't think he's necessarily ready for an athletic director job. I don't know. And then everybody's worried about him not being able to fire Scott Frost if that time comes. However, more than just the athletic director, more guys make that decision than just the AD, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, the AD is the one that's the front facing of it, but it's a decision that's made at the university level that includes, I'm sure, Ronnie Green and whomever else. But yeah, I don't, when this initially broke, Matt Davidson's name came up a lot. I don't think that he's a real candidate at this point in time. I think if you were going to do something internally, Garrett Classy is likely that guy. And I think he was brought here to eventually be an athletic director, whether it's with Nebraska or somewhere else. I think he has those chops and he's really interesting to me. And then, of course, there's other previous worked at Nebraska names like Hank Bounds, where he has really, when he was a president, really involved with athletics and still involved as he was brought in as a consultant to help with the fundraising efforts for your new football facilities. So they have options for the internal name if they want to go that way. But if you were staying in-house, the most qualified person is the guy who was basically sort of running things as it was in Garrett Classy. So it strikes me that that's probably not what they're going to do. So I don't know if people need to spend a whole lot of time being worried about Matt Davison and what his role is going to be. I think that he will continue to serve as a liaison for the athletic department in Nebraska football. I don't think that he would make a lot of sense as an athletic director because I don't know what background he has that would lead you to think that he would need to be involved with the totality of the ship versus just the football aspect of it. So I think that we're going to hear a name. There's going to be an announcement sometime this week. I expect it to be someone people have heard of. I don't expect it to be another Bill Moose situation where it's completely off the radar, but I at this point am anticipating an external hire. And then certainly the reports have led in that direction as well.
And Trev Alberts, his name gets brought up. He just got brought up on the text line as well. However, I feel, and this might just be a personal opinion, and you might feel differently about this, Schaefer, but I feel like if Trev Alberts would have been the AD at Nebraska, his name got brought up every single time. And I just feel like if he was going to be the AD at Nebraska, it would have happened by now.
I think it would have happened after Eichhorst if it was going to happen. And now I don't see a reason as to why it would. And look, I mean, he's doing his job over at UNO. I just feel like sometimes people want to put these names up there because a guy was successful as a football player. Like same with Matt Davison.
Yeah.
Matt Davison's a color analyst and he now has a job in the athletic department because Scott Frost was hired as Nebraska's football coach. I mean, that sounds reductive, and I'm not trying to say that he doesn't do things. He does. I've seen him over there. He's involved with efforts, but that's not exactly the background that you see when other teams in your conference or in the NCAA are hiring athletic directors. They're generally hiring more than the guy who's the color analyst for their football broadcast.
And you need somebody as an athletic director, you need them to be concerned about the football program, but also the baseball program and also the bowling program and the rifle program
and the finances.
Exactly.
And now the in-house media.
Yeah. There's
and
so
the student
many
athlete. Like, it's just it's a totally encompassing job. And I think it'd be really reductive if it was, we got to hire this guy because he's friends with the football coach. Like I don't see Nebraska doing that, but I see where someone like Matt Davison would be really interested, and he would, potentially throw his name in the hat, but it doesn't mean that it's
I feel like Nebraska's
a full qualified candidate.
I feel like they're getting a lot of names being thrown into a hat. Nebraska, this job is a good job, in my opinion. You have resources at your disposal.
It's better now than it was when Moose took over in 2017. I think people would agree with that. Despite the lack of success for the football program, I think it is better at this point in time in terms of all of the politics that surround these types of things than when Sean Eichhorst was fired in 2017.
And, going back to Jamie Pollard, let's just throw his name out there. It's his situation is a little more confusing. I don't know if confusing is even the right word. It's more of why would he come to Nebraska when he has a pretty good gig at Iowa State? Well, like I just said, it's the resources. It'd be a pretty decent pay raise. And there's a lot of things going on in the athletic department, like you said, with the in-house media, with the new expansion project down at Memorial Stadium. There's a lot of things happening that he can be the face of this athletic department if he chooses to come here. Now, it's going to be a little stickier because he did sign an extension through 2026. However, this, like I've been saying this whole show, it is a good job.
Yeah, it has a potential to be a really good job. It has a potential that it could be a job someone could have for a long time. It also has a potential to be a nightmare. I mean, it has been unsteady for the last 20 years. And I don't know that I can sit here and tell you that whoever gets that job, Nick, whenever that happens, if you were to set an over-under line at 7 years or 6.5 years, I'd have a really tough time taking the over because we haven't seen that play out much.
Yeah, we just have to go off of what history has shown, and history over the last couple of ADs has been short tenured and short lived.
About 4 to 6 years usually.
Exactly. And Eichhorst was for his own reasons. Bill Moose, like I said, it was more abrupt, as we all know, even though he was expecting to stay here through his contract in December of 2022. More up next on The Drive. We'll keep digging into this athletic director talk and more coming up.
This is The Drive on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Mike Shaver here. Farrell's Extreme Body Shaving changed my life the past few years with their 10-week challenge, and now you can get your life and fitness back on track too. Build muscle, burn fat, and lose weight with the 10-week challenge with orientation on July 10th and the workouts starting July 12th. Their teamwork, accountability, and results keep you going 45 minutes at a time. And if you can't make it to the gym, they have an at-home video component now. Sign up today for the Farrell's 10-week challenge and mention the ticket for a 50% discount at fxblincoln.com.
The Mercado by Certified Piedmontese Beef is Lincoln's newest full-service butcher shop, offering premium fresh-cut steaks and house-made sausages daily from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. They exclusively carry certified Piedmontese beef raised right here in Nebraska. When shopping at the Mercado, you're not only supporting local, but also enjoying the official beef of Nebraska athletics. With prime-grade tenderness and unparalleled nutritionals, your backyard barbecue is about to get a serious upgrade. Stop into the Mercado today, located off 84th and Havelock in Lincoln.
Ken Richards has long been a trusted name in Lincoln for insurance, and he's now with Brokers Insurance Agency with the same great service as always. Brokers Insurance Agency works with more than 15 companies to help find the best policy for you to avoid any long hassles. Also, if you're looking to get into the insurance business as an independent agent, they have the formula to make that process smooth and successful. Call Ken with Brokers Insurance Agency today at 402-420-5353 or visit brokersinsuranceNE.com. At Buffalo Wings and Rings, they've crafted a new league of superior chicken sandwiches. Meet the Ringers. It's premium, house-made, beer-battered, fried chicken served buffalo, Korean, or MVP style. Head to Buffalo Wings and Rings Lincoln and raise a glass to superior chicken. 2 locations at 68th and O and at 40th and Old Cheney. Buffalo Wings and Rings.
Hi, I'm Jay Foreman. When I played football for Nebraska in the NFL, I wore lots of protective gear to safeguard my health. Today, I'm not only protecting my health, but that of my family, friends, and our community because I got my COVID vaccine. And now, everyone 12 years and older can be vaccinated. It's free, it's safe, and it protects all of us. Suit up against COVID. Find out more at healthylincoln.org.
Teachers will always find a way to help their students. I'm Jenny Benson, president of the Nebraska State Education Association. Our public school teachers never waver in their work, caring, and advocacy for their students. But we all know that education doesn't happen in a vacuum. Our schools need your involvement and support. Ensure a bright future for our children, our communities, and our state. Support our public schools. Sponsored by the Nebraska State Education Association, aired in cooperation with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Hi, Charlie Stone here for Honda of Lincoln, and before I bring out Andy Goodyear, I want to share this with you. I'm sure you've heard most auto dealers are very low or have no new cars to sell. For those of you who really want or need a new or pre-owned vehicle right now, Honda of Lincoln has more than 900 new Hondas in stock or on the way, and a great selection of pre-owned vehicles to choose from. Plus, you can still get financing from 0% APR or special factory lease rates. Andy, how did you get so many cars?
There are 3 primary reasons. 1, we are the oldest and largest volume Honda dealer in Nebraska. 2, we are a 15-time Honda President's Award winning dealer and the only Nebraska dealer to receive it in 2020. And 3, our customer satisfaction index with Honda is very high. When you combine all three, Honda helps us have the cars and trucks on our lot.
Thanks, Andy. Come experience the Honda of Lincoln way of doing business. 27th and Yankee Hill or online at hondaoflincoln.com.
Now, I know what you're thinking. Where can you get a straightforward loan for a new set of wheels? Liberty First. Liberty First Credit Union looks at things differently. No hidden charges or early prepayment penalties and rates as low as 1.98% APR. Talk to a lender who's here for people, not for profits. People like you. Liberty First Credit Union. Banking with purpose. Rates may vary depending on year and miles. Subject to credit approval. Not available for current LFCU loans. See Liberty First Credit Union for details.
Since 1905, Sartor Heyman Jewelers has been through many world-changing events. We have stood strong with you and at times held on with you through the storms. Sartor Heyman is not just a jewelry store. We are 4 generations of family in the Nebraska community. We've laughed with you, celebrated with you, and at times cried with you. We're still here and strong as ever, waiting to serve you. We'll get through this together. Sartor Heyman, your hometown jeweler since 1905, official jeweler of Husker Nation.
Batter up! Gather your friends and your coworkers and get ready to play ball. Lincoln Parks and Recreation's fall sports registration is open for adult softball and kickball. All games will start in August with recreational and competitive divisions offered. Softball games are played Sunday through Friday at Mahoney, Holmes, and Ballard Fields, and kickball plays on Sundays at Lewis Ball Field. Register online at teamsideline.com/LincolnNE or call 402-441-7892. That's 441-7892.
You're listening to The Drive with Connor Happer and Robbie Lula, sponsored by the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese.
Welcome back in The Drive without Connor Happer and Robbie Lula. Nick Sander, Mike Schaefer in for those two Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And then Robbie will be back on Thursday with Rico. Schaefer, you said in the last segment there about something that gets undervalued and goes without being noticed when you're looking for an athletic director is the student-athlete experience. I want you to elaborate on more of that because obviously you know more than I do when it comes to these AD hires and what it takes to be a quality athletic director. So what did you mean by it benefit, or it's more important on the student athlete experience to think about that?
One of the things I think that you have to do in 2021 is if you're an athletic director, you're continually thinking about what can I do to enhance the experience of my student athletes to then have that sell back when people come through in recruiting, when they come through and, our former players that one, they feel welcome here, and two, they had a good time when they're here. There's a lot of former athletes at various schools across the country that stayed because they played in their sport, but they didn't enjoy their time there. And so I think, it's always about trying to create resources and offer, within what you're allowed to with the NCAA to offer, things to better the experience. I mean, past ADs have put a big emphasis on food. I mean, with Nebraska as of late, you've had the various training tables that are open, the unlimited snacks, the protein bar that they built that's down in near the players lounge, like all the different things that they have. It all kind of factors into it. You want to create a hangout space for your athletes to be able to spend time when they're in between classes and in between workouts, that they want that environment. Some of that comes into the facilities part of it. And certainly, Bill Moose's vision with Nebraska's new facilities played a role in that regard. Some of it is just making sure that they have the right resources, whether they have the right amount of tutors, academic people, whether they have access to mental health coaches, to various things like that. That's all part of the experience we don't talk about because it doesn't take place on a field or a court or involved with a score. But those are necessary parts of the athletic department that you oversee all of that. Like, some of what you do as an athletic director is you're checking with Keith Zimmer to see how it's going with the with the life skills program and the academic program with Dennis LeBlanc, and you have all of these associate ADs. They all answer to you, but you delegate things for them, but you need to stay up and make sure that this is going well. And so that's all kind of the part of the job we don't see, because what people focus on is how's your football coach doing? how are you representing yourself when you're doing the media obligations, whether it's the radio show or it's Big Ten Media Days or whatever. But those are real things that you have to be concerned about. And you don't want to fall behind. It's like the facilities arm race. You want to make sure that these kids are getting the experience and they're getting the benefits that come along with being a student athlete. And you don't want to hear that some other school, like say Oklahoma, for instance, is doing a better job of X. And you need to examine what it is that you can be doing to be on that level.
That's understandable as a whole. And I feel like Nebraska is in a good spot. Now I want to ask you this as well.
Nebraska, in a lot of ways, like they invented some of this, like the academic stuff, the players lounge, the creating and fostering an environment where athletes can hang out and feel comfortable with each other and have an area of campus that's their own. That is not all that dissimilar to a fraternity, if you will. Nebraska has been at the forefront of a lot of that, but you always have to keep up with it. You can always get better. You can always improve. And I think that's kind of where I-Course put a lot of emphasis in that. And Bill Moose, to a degree, has as well. But I think whoever the next person is, that's going to be part of it too, especially with NIL, which is just going to be a big thing.
Now, this was a thought that came to me over the weekend, and it was, do you think that the Nebraska department just kind of wanted some stability? Not saying that they were necessarily unstable under Bill Moose, but we knew that he was probably not going to be here after his contract.
Yeah.
Do you think with all the stuff changing with, that's a thought that came to me, is that they just want some stability. They want everything that they know. They want to know what they have in their athletic department when all this stuff is going on with it, whether it was, they're still in the process of moving everything in-house. That's not a thing that's going to just be done in a week. They're doing obviously the big expansion project, and there's obviously, I'm sure there's stuff down the road that they're planning as well that we might not even know about. And so I feel like, and I thought about this, is maybe they just decided to pull the plug now because they want some stability within their athletic department.
Yeah, and that's a good thought. I mean, it could very well work out into that factor where you have these different things going on. You want someone to oversee it right at the forefront rather than to just sort of inherit it. And you're right. I mean, I think that we knew that Bill Moose's time was short, and so timing could be part of this, where if your lead candidate's like, all right, I want to do it, but I want to do it now. I don't want to, the time is right for me to get into this now. I don't know that I need to wait another year for it. Then maybe that's why you go to Bill Moose and you ask him to retire, because the next person is ready to go at this instance. So we don't know if that's the case until it's announced and Ronnie Green kind of talks through the process. But I anticipate that there's some truth to what you said. I think you do want to find a long-term stability, because everyone knew that Bill Moose was largely on the way out. And so if that's the case, then if it's already known that someone's done, then it might just be time to move on, which is how Nebraska might have viewed it.
And I feel like we obviously know Bill Moose was more of a hands-off he had that hands-off approach. And right off the bat, when he got here, he said, I'm going to let my coaches coach. And if I remember correctly, we were kind of a fan of that idea. It was, he's going to be able to observe from far and away, whether that was back on his ranch or whether that was in North Stadium. Do you think that kind of came back to hurt him in the end of it?
Not really. I mean, I think that's the approach that most of your athletic directors are going to do at this point in time. I think that if you get too involved in any one sport, you're going to, lose the forest in the trees, so to speak.
And I guess I'm not necessarily saying that he needed to be at every football practice and stuff like that, but I feel like maybe if he would have had more of a hands-on approach, and maybe instead of delegating a bulk of his job or his decisions necessarily to Garrett Classy, which granted it benefited Garrett Classy, and that's probably helped him be in this conversation for this next athletic director job. However, I feel like it may have hurt Bill Moose not being here all the time. And where at a place like Nebraska, where their fan base is so strong and they want to know every little thing that's going on within their main programs, I feel like sometimes we may want an athletic director that's more of a hands-on kind of guy rather than a step back from a far, far distance and see what happens.
It just depends on what that hands-on means. If it's the same as hiring, someone to oversee football and make suggestions for the roster that doesn't necessarily jive with what your football coach wants, then, is that a step too far? I think there's a fine line between being involved and being annoying. and being detached or being distant. And so I think that if you can figure out how to somehow manage to do both, where you're involved, but you're allowing the distance for people to be successful, if you can avoid coming off as detached, where it seems like you're not involved in any aspect of it, and if you can come off avoiding, seeming overbearing or too involved with it, that's important too. It's a unique job. And so I think there's no right or wrong way to do it. And that's part of why it's difficult to assess the success of how anyone does. And that's why we default back to the on the field records.
Now you mentioned, or you talked about this a little bit earlier on the show, but I want you to reiterate it. Kind of what do you want Nebraska to have in their next athletic director?
I would hope that it's someone that can command respect amongst his peers, at least in terms of, isn't shooting from the hip or isn't wildly grasping at straws for the sake of that's how he wants things to be done. But there's a measured approach to when he has an idea or when he brings something forth. And then, you want someone who has his pulse on where college athletics is headed. And that would have been my biggest probably complaint with Bill Moos, is he felt like he wasn't, how do I want to phrase this? I felt like he wasn't the guy that would know that college football or college athletics is pivoting. It always felt like he would react to something, and as simple as the college football playoff, a very popular concept of expansion, and his reaction is he didn't want him to expand. Yeah. Like, I just, I'm not saying you want a guy who agrees with everything that's happening all the time, but I would also hope that your athletic director has a good idea of where things are headed, where the sport is headed, is involved in those conversations, both at a conference level and at a national level. I never felt like Bill Moos was. It felt like he would say things like, well, I suggested we do this and no one listened to me.
Yeah. I feel like
you would hope that that's not happening with the next guy.
Exactly. And I feel like part of it, just as a head coach of any program, they need to be willing to adapt. And I feel like you need that out of your athletic director as well. And I feel like that's going to be a big key on whether or not their tenure, whoever it may be, whether it's an Ed Stewart, whether it's a Jamie Pollard, whether it's I don't know, any guy, the Utah State athletic director, Hartwell, has been talked about as well. It's just, if whoever it is, they just need to be willing to adapt and understand that not only the college football landscape, but all of college athletics are changing, and they're heading towards this NIL and benefiting off your name, image, and likeness and all that as well. Because I think we saw it that if you're not, you're not going to be number one, a fan favorite. You're not going to be appreciated from the student athlete's point of view or perspective, but then you're also not going to be respected in the college athletic landscape of people that do have a voice as well.
Well, and another thing that, as you were talking, I just thought of this too. Whoever it is going to have to face some very real questions about what to do with Memorial Stadium, because there's a renovation project that has to be done with that. It's a stadium that is not built for 2020 or 2021 and the viewing experience. And we can continue to talk about sound systems and video boards all we want, but there's no concourse. It's not a particularly easy experience getting in and out, depending on where you are in the stadium. And so that's a real thing. And then, of course, it seats 93,000 people, and there's a sellout streak here. And I don't want to get into the sellout streak as much as I want to get into the idea of whoever takes this on. I think one of the real conversations you have to have is, do we need to reconfigure this stadium? Does it need to look different? Do we need to continue to have a stadium for 93,000 people? Should we look at potentially making it a little smaller and a little bit more of an enjoyable game day experience? From a facilities aspect, whoever is inheriting this job is getting the Haymarket, getting PBA, getting Devaney, getting a soccer stadium, getting a new wrestling, setup with the Devaney. All of the facility aspects of all these other sports are taken care of. And the elephant in the room is you have Memorial Stadium, who most people recognize is a historic college football venue, but is it prepared to handle crowds? and the way college football fans have changed in the future moving forward. I don't think that it is.
No,
I don't think this version of Memorial Stadium is the correct answer. And I don't care if Nebraska goes 11-1. Yeah, there's going to be a raucous crowd there and people will be filling it in. It doesn't mean that the experience is enjoyable. It doesn't eliminate some of the issues that people have when they have to decide whether they want to go to a game, which is 4 or 5 hours of their life, or if they want to watch it on their couch. And you always want to create a scenario in which they actually feel like it's worth going to the game. Those are the real conversations that an athletic director is going to have when he takes over here at Nebraska.
Absolutely. And when you think of upgrading Memorial Stadium, or whether it's Pinnacle Bank Arena or Haymarket Park or anything like that, a lot of people's mind instantly go to the beer and alcohol sales and being able to sell that at the games. Well, this goes way beyond that. You just mentioned the concourse. That's something that is rarely brought up, is that they need to update the look and the feel of when you're, number one, in the stadium and then also outside of it and stuff like that. And when they expanded that on the, let's see, would that be west side or east side, east side of the stadium, that was monumental. Because everybody's like, man, it looks gorgeous from the outside. We seat more people now. We can fill the stands even more, and we're going to continue the sellout streak because we are Nebraska. However, it goes beyond the beer and alcohol sales. And that's a whole nother conversation that we can get into.
That's a conversation to be had, but like they need an actual concourse that you can walk through and, be able to. The stadium isn't walkable. Mm-hmm. You can just go to your seat. That's basically, and you can, concessions you can try to get to, or you have to wait for the hot dog guy to come to specifically your section or whatever. It's just a different where sports and where live sports are at right now are very different than a stadium that was built as long ago as Memorial. And they've always done a nice job renovating it to try to keep it up with the times. But now we're not talking so much about the actual structure as we are the attitudes, and the way people watch sports are different. And what they want now is different than it was in 1975 and different than it was in 1995. And so what can you do to make people want to be there? Because your biggest fear isn't just the apathy of the fan. It's, well, if they're going to lose, I might as well just stay home and watch it. Yeah. And I don't have to lose 2 hours fighting parking and getting down there and everything else.
A ticket, don't have to deal with the people around me.
And I'm not trying to pretend like I have the answers.
No,
because I don't. Like, I don't know if you were like, Mike, well, you're the charge. What would you do to Memorial Stadium? I don't exactly know, because what I kind of want to do would be relatively radical. I'd want to knock down some of the South Stadium, put in a concourse where people can walk up to, you got some food vendors up there. There's some areas where you can just stand and watch the game a little bit. I would probably include an alcohol option.
Yeah.
I don't feel like strongly married to that, but I would consider it. But, I just think it needs to be more of something that you go to that you can, because that's what sports is. Like when people go to Pinnacle Bank, they don't just sit in their only seat the entire game. Yeah. You're up walking around the concourse, you're visiting people. Maybe you're going to the end that's open and you're watching the game a little bit from there. But that's what I think when people go to live events, yes, they're going to a sporting event. They're also going to physically go do something, not necessarily sit in a seat for 5 hours.
Well, absolutely. And there's been talks about moving the student section, and my own personal experience with the student section is I am a fan of moving it, just because.
Were you in South or East?
I've been in both.
Okay.
South is ridiculous. You're up in the corner.
Never spent a second in South Stadium.
South
in
Stadium,
my life.
It's ridiculous because you're up there, you're in the corner, and if you don't get there, 3 hours before kickoff or whatever it is, then you're not getting a good seat. And that's just the way it is. And you're with a lot of people that when you're that far away or just kind of smushed up in the corner, you find out that nobody really goes for the football. And I feel like that's kind of sad, number one. That's a whole nother discussion we can dive into at some other point. However, I also don't like the idea that every seat is a bench. I feel like that's just not being fan friendly, and that's something that they can improve on.
Well, that's the idea. If you cut down the size, you can change the actual seating to where it's not a bench style anymore, to it's an actual seat.
Yeah.
That would radically change that stadium quite a bit. But those are the sort of things that you have to consider. as you do this, because I just don't think you can go status quo with Memorial Stadium for another 2 decades.
And you shouldn't. And I don't think that you can just keep slapping up new speakers and a new sound system. And yes, all that's important, but you can't do that and say, okay, everything's good now, because number one, it's not. And number two, if you talk to any of the students, I'll just use that since I'm close with them. Any of the students, they don't like where they're seated. No, and a lot of fans don't like their viewing perspective from where they're sitting either. And it's, whether you're a season ticket holder or you're just purchasing single game tickets, you'll find out that a lot of the people go for more of a social event rather than watch the product on the field. So when we come back, we will dive more into this and round out the 4 o'clock hour up next on The Drive.
This is The Drive on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. 93.7 The Ticket, Fox, KFXL weather. Brought to you by Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing.
Your KFXL Fox Nebraska weather tonight, mostly cloudy, a 40% chance of showers and storms. Overnight lows 65. Isolated storms possible Tuesday, otherwise partly cloudy, highs around 85. I'm KFXL Chief Forecaster Ken Boughton for 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Listening to this Allstate commercial about savings might be the hardest thing about getting those savings. Save for simply becoming an Allstate customer. Save more for adding DriveWise. And save even more for driving safely. Visit Allstate.com or contact your local agent for a quote today. Allstate. Minimum effort, maximum reward.
Not available in every state. New customer savings based on early signing discount. Drive-bys is an optional feature. Savings vary based on how you buy. Subject to terms and conditions. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Smoothbrook, Illinois.
At Mountain Dew, we support the best and baddest disaster relief group in America, Team Rubicon. To show our support of Team Rubicon, Mountain Dew put in $1 million. And now you can help Team Rubicon too. Look for specially marked Team Rubicon bottles of Mountain Dew, Diet Mountain Dew, and Mountain Dew Zero Sugar. Enter for a chance to win weekly prizes at MountainDewTR.com and donate to Team Rubicon. You'll earn exclusive rewards when you do. No purchase necessary. U.S. residents 18 and older. Subject to rules at MountainDewTR.com. Ends 10/3/2020.
No matter how big or how small the job, Landmark's new John Deere compact tractor packages are sure to fit your acreage needs. The Greenhorn package includes a tractor and loader. Add a mower or rotary cutter when you upgrade to the Weekender package. Landmark's Foreman package comes with a tractor, loader, mower, and rear blade. Visit our virtual showroom online at landmarkimp.com or stop by your local Landmark Implement to experience the Landmark difference.
One unforgettable event. One chance to get up close and personal with some of the greatest names in golf. One opportunity to create memories that will last a lifetime. Get your tickets now for the U.S. Senior Open, coming to Omaha July 5th through the 11th at the Omaha Country Club. If you're looking for family fun for all ages, this is one championship you don't want to miss. For tickets, visit ussenioropen.com.
Take a look at your backyard. Does it feel like something is missing? You're right. Now is the perfect time to get an above-ground swimming pool from Bonsall Pool and Spa. Above-ground pools require less space than in-ground pools, are temporary structures if you ever choose to move, and are low maintenance. Plus, you'll never have to worry about the kids getting bored in the summertime anymore. Visit BonsallPool.com to schedule a pool service or visit them at 33rd and Highway 2. Bonsall Pool and Spa.
Hi, I'm Jay Foreman. When I played football for Nebraska in the NFL, I wore lots of protective gear to safeguard my health. Today, I'm not only protecting my health, but that of my family, friends, and our community because I got my COVID vaccine. And now, everyone 12 years and older can be vaccinated. It's free, it's safe, and it protects all of us. Suit up against COVID. Find out more at healthylincoln.org.
Starting the right career is one of the most important decisions you'll ever make. You want to enjoy your career, be challenged, have fun, earn a great weekly paycheck, and work for a great company. If you're looking for a career change or right out of high school, the John Henry's Plumbing Apprentice Program may be the perfect answer. You'll get paid while getting hands-on training. We focus on your skills while you engage in real-world learning. Why not join the John Henry's team today? Apply at jhlincoln.com. That's jhlincoln.com.
John Henry's Plumbing, heating and air.
Ken Richards has long been a trusted name in Lincoln for insurance, and he's now with Brokers Insurance Agency with the same great service as always. Brokers Insurance Agency works with more than 15 companies to help find the best policy for you to avoid any long hassles. Also, if you're looking to get into the insurance business as an independent agent, they have the formula to make that process smooth and successful. Call Ken with Brokers Insurance Agency today at 402-420-5353 or visit brokersinsurancene.com.
Your home isn't going to fix itself, and you're busy enough as it is. So let Cornhusker Construction put the work in to upgrade your house. They do everything interior and exterior, including full remodel jobs. Are your kitchen and bathrooms outdated? Cornhusker Construction can help with that, with new flooring, painting, drywall, and anything else. Take advantage of their summer sale with 4% off for the rest of the summer. Call them today at 308-708-0709. Cornhusker Construction.
You're listening to The Drive with Connor Happer and Robbie Lula, sponsored by the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese.
Rounding out the 4 o'clock hour here on The Drive, Nick Sainer, Mike Schaefer. I'm kind of glad this song came on because I am obviously the youngest person here at the station.
You're younger than Emmett?
I think so. I'm 20. Emmett, how old? You are 21. So yes, younger than Big Sky as well. So I did not know the Roses song. Enrico's looking at me, shaking his head. I did not know Roses. Happer was mad I did not know Roses. Do you know Roses?
Oh, I know Roses. Roses came out when I was in high school, so that's kind of the wheelhouse of like music for me. So yeah, I know Roses. Roses played on the baseball bus many times, as did Sean Paul's Temperature.
I know that one.
As did, I don't know, there's a number of things that would have played during that era of time.
Yeah, it's been a rough couple of months here for me personally because I did not know Roses. I did not know Purple Rain by Prince, which is
That's
bad.
the most egregious.
Very
also,
bad.
Rico had this tweet about Roses being a top 25 song since like 2000. He's mouthing something.
Yeah,
I can't.
I'm horrible. They come in here.
Album?
And say it.
Is he saying album?
I don't know. He has a pick in his hair as well, which it's hard not to make fun of him for that.
Well, he's got nice hair. I would love to have Rico's hairline.
He needs a big haircut. The mic's not on.
Thank you.
I'm not used to deciding when you talk.
Happer asked when we were talking about Roses. Happer's like, that song is like top 5 from 2000 or whatever.
No.
So I was like, you know what? I don't completely disagree. So I made the post to see, and
it's not
a lot of responses.
And look, I understand that I'm taking the more popular song here. It's not better than Hey Yeah.
Hey Yeah,
it's not.
I knew Hey Yeah.
It is not.
I mean, you could make the case that Hey Yeah is a top 5.
Probably.
I don't think you can make the case that Roses is.
We thought it was. We thought it sold a lot more than it did. It did not sell that much. It did get up to, I think, number 5
on the charts,
on like a couple charts. So
yeah,
it was up there.
Like, it's not even as good as like I'm Sorry, Miss Jackson.
No, it is not. But it is a great song.
Yeah, that's the thing.
I didn't think it was that good of a song.
I think Roses is good. It's funny is really what it is. And then the music video for it is actually the music video for it is pretty classic.
Yeah.
And that was also like, it wasn't the peak era of music videos, but there were some pretty good music videos happening in the early 2000s. But the actual song, like if you were like top 100 songs of that, yeah, it's probably
top 25.
There's no way it's a top 25 song.
Top 50.
Maybe top 50.
Okay, I could do top 50.
What was the song that I did not know just before?
I got 5 on it.
I'm glad Schaefer didn't know that either.
Look, I don't know it.
Schaefer not knowing it is not surprising.
People have stopped asking because I am so disconnected to the culture.
You not knowing it is very surprising.
When did it come out?
I'll have to look. It's been used in many a movie.
So I used to think the Old Town Road song was Old Country Roads.
That's still great.
I did not.
I had no idea who the yodeling boy was.
Ooh,
that was good.
Was it Mason
I Got 5
something?
on it was released in 1995.
Yeah.
So 6 years before I was born.
I don't know the song at all. Yeah.
I don't get that.
I feel like I have a reason not to.
Maybe
know
I
it.
do know it,
I'm sure you do.
but I
have
just
to play
don't
it
have
for
like
you.
the actual name for it. If that makes sense, but it didn't sound familiar when you were talking.
But it's just like the intro beat, like you hear that and you're just like, oh yeah, and it just takes you back to whenever you heard it the very
1995.
first time.
I
How old was Rico in 1995?
I was,
One.
depending on the month that it came out, I was either 1 or 2.
Okay,
Interesting. All right. Well, I was not alive.
what were your 3 favorite moments of 1995?
3 favorite moments in 1995. Nebraska football. That's it. That's all I got.
That's all that mattered.
That's all I got.
All right. Well, thank
Maybe-
you,
Maybe something NBA related. I don't know. I got nothing.
Carmelo. When was he born?
Before that, but he didn't. He was in like middle school at the time, maybe elementary school. Maybe not even any of those. Probably wasn't even in school.
Carmelo's
He
older
was
than
drafted,
me.
He was
so he
drafted
would have
in
been
2003.
Yeah, so he would have went to high school from 99 to 2002. So he would have been in the end of elementary school, beginning of middle school in 1995.
There you go. See?
Texter writes in, I'm sorry, 1995 was how many years before you were born? 6. I am 20 years old, born in 2001.
Did you see this?
You and Wander
this is-
Franco.
This is going to make you
Yeah,
feel
okay, time out. Hold on.
What?
Sorry, Rico.
Okay.
Wander Franco, however you pronounce his last name.
I think it's
Franco.
It's Franco. Yeah.
All I know is that is just gut wrenching when I see a dude in the MLB and
You
I'm
wanna know- you wanna
I'm
know
here.
something else?
Go ahead.
A guy at the U.S. Olympic trials for track and field, 17.
Oh, yeah. I know.
17.
You will reach a point in your life where you're just like, there's always going to be that guy that you're the same age, and he went on to do astounding things,
And
and
here
you
I
have done
am.
nothing. For me, I was in college freshman year. Kevin Durant was a freshman at the same time, watching him at Nebraska, and was just like, how are we?
How is this happening?
You're 19, I'm
Yeah.
19. Like, you just took Texas to the NCAA tournament, and then he like goes on to have the
Yeah.
career that he does. But I don't know who your version of that
I'll
is.
have to think
Yours
about
might be Wander Franco going forward, but
It very well could
there's
be.
just this moment where it hits you, and it's like, we're the same
I'll
age.
have to look back at like 26-year-olds.
Yeah, and it's like we're not playing the same
Ben Simmons
sport.
is like 2 years younger than me, or a year younger than me. So there's that.
So 26-year-olds. Shohei Ohtani would fit.
Oh, jeez.
Ooh,
Sorry, man.
That's awkward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Shaver.
But no, 17-year-old. If he didn't turn pro, if he was still in high school and just running at the trials, he would have shattered the high school record in the 200. He ran like a 19.9, but he left high school and
Freak
went pro.
athletes. So, all right, we are way behind.
It's fine.
As it's 5.
That's
past
what
5.
happens.
Yeah, exactly. Who cares? When we come back, we're going to dive more into Husker football as a whole. See what it would take to get to 8 or 9 wins. Coming up next on The Drive.
Follow Connor and Robbie on Twitter
I give a rat's about Twitter.
at Connor Happer, at R.A. Lula.
I don't know. I don't manage my Twitter.
You're listening to The Drive. There are fans, and then there's you. You live it. You breathe it. You want to soak it all in. Most sports talk shows are fine, but you find yourself craving more. You need the Recruiting Hour with Mike Schaefer and Connor Happer. Each day, we break down what's happening on the recruiting trail and on campus, bringing you guests from all corners of the college football world. The Recruiting Hour with Mike Schaefer and Connor Happer. Weekdays at 2 p.m. on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Tractor Supply Distribution Center in Waverly is now hiring for all shifts. They're a 24/7 facility and a clean environment to work in. There's potential to earn up to $25.25 per hour with opportunities for overtime. They also offer a retention bonus as new team members are eligible for a bonus as high as $1,000. Come be a part of the Tractor Supply team. Apply today at www.tractorsupply.jobs. In honor of all those who made the ultimate sacrifice in the defense of our nation, and for those who are currently deployed on the front lines around the world to ensure the freedom we enjoy, let us join together as one community, one nation, with one voice to salute our troops. That message courtesy of Black Diamond Enterprises, your complete landscape contractors with a reputation for quality work at prices you can afford. For an estimate, call 402-782-2101. That's Black Diamond Enterprises in Walton, on the air because they care.
In every office, there's 2 types of people. There are those who bring in bagels and those who eat the bagels that someone else brought in. Everybody likes the first person. Be that first person. Weekday mornings at 7:30, you have a chance to win a business box of bagels from Bagels & Joe. All you have to do is shut up, Sipple. 2 questions for you, 2 for Sip. Win, and the bagels are yours. Lose, well, you don't want to lose.
You lost Monday, you lost Wednesday, you're a loser.
Shut up, Sipple. Weekday mornings at 7:30, brought to you by Bagels & Joe.
Hey guys, it's Nick and Big Sky.
What's up?
Join us every Sunday morning from 9 to 10 a.m. for our new show, The Student Section,
where we will break down the biggest sports news of the week from a college student's perspective and bring on a local student athlete who's made our honor roll with exceptional performance in and out of the game.
The Student Section, every Sunday morning from 9 to 10 a.m. right here on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Mike Shaver here. Farrell's Extreme Body Shaving changed my life the past few years with their 10-week challenge, and now you can get your life and fitness back on track too. Build muscle, burn fat, and lose weight with the 10-week challenge with orientation on July 10th and the workouts starting July 12th. Their teamwork, accountability, and results keep you going 45 minutes at a time. And if you can't make it to the gym, they have an at-home video component now. Sign up today for the Farrell's 10-week challenge and mention the ticket for a 50% discount at fxblincoln.com.
This is Jay Foreman. I wore gear to protect my health on the football field, and now I'm protecting it with a COVID vaccine. Everyone 12 years and older can too. Get vaccinated and stay strong. Learn more at healthylincoln.org.
Fat Jack's Barbecue in Lincoln says, let's take a dignified moment to remember what America is all about. The men and women of our military who continue to lay it all out for our safety and freedom. Fly our flags high and celebrate with good friends, family, and barbecue. Whether you're hungry as a bear or barely hungry, stop by for great food, great service, and a great atmosphere on West O Street. For carryout, call 464-7428 or online at fatjackslincoln.com. For catering, call 440-6579. Fat Jack's Barbecue, thanking you for your patronage.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com. On the internet. KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket. 93.7 The Ticket sports news go now.
I'm Nick Sainert. Husker men's basketball will play in a charity exhibition game on October 31st against Colorado at Pinnacle Bank Arena. All proceeds will go to local organizations that were directly affected by COVID-19. Tonight is Game 1 of the College World Series Finals between Mississippi State and Vanderbilt. Jack Leiter is the expected starter for the Commodores. First pitch from TD Ameritrade Park in Omaha is scheduled for 6 p.m., and you can catch all the action on ESPN2. Yesterday in Major League Baseball, a grand slam in the second inning helped the Dodgers pull away from the Chicago Cubs 7-1 at home. The Boston Red Sox got the best of Garrett Cole and the Yankees at Fenway Park 9-2. Joey Gallo hit a home run in the first inning to help the Rangers beat the Royals 4-1. The Padres topped the Diamondbacks 5-4 at home, and Shohei Ohtani hit his 25th homer of the season to help the Angels beat the Rays 6-4. Tonight at 6:10 p.m., the Red Sox will begin the series with the Royals at Fenway Park. The Twins will travel to the south side of Chicago to play the White Sox. The Dodgers host the NL West rival San Francisco just after 9 p.m. The Cubs will travel to Milwaukee to begin a series with the Brewers, and the Yankees host the Angels at 6:05 p.m. The Phoenix Suns are one win away from moving on to the NBA Finals. Tip-off between the Clippers and Phoenix is scheduled for 8 p.m. on ESPN. For our latest sports news and updates, keep it tuned right here to 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
This is The Drive. Coming at you live from the Copple Chevrolet GMC studios in the heart of Lincoln, America.
This drive is going to toughen your hides.
On 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Here are your hosts, Connor Happer and Robbie Lula. Presented by the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese.
A little bit of Husker football news before we get into our next discussion. PFF preseason All-America team was announced for college football. The Huskers have 2 names on the list. Both are defenders. JoJo Domann, second team. Ben Stille, honorable mention in that regard. Now, Schaefer, I want to pose this question to you. It's something that I've asked Big Sky on our show every Sunday. However, if I were to say Nebraska football finishes the season with 9 wins, what did they do to get there?
What did Nebraska do to get to 9 wins? Well, I think it would start with this. The defense would have to continue the trend of getting better year over year. So therefore, last year's defense, which was pretty solid, and as you mentioned, 2 players from it made the Pro Football Focus All-American team, or at least one made it. One was an honorable mention. So the defense has to continue to get better. And I think that, if they start to force more turnovers, you win the turnover battle in that regard. You start to win the field position battle. Suddenly a team that really seems like a 5-win team can jump up pretty quickly if you're eliminating possessions for the other team's offense and potentially even turning those into points. So start with the defense. So the defense continues to improve. And then I think the offense, if you're winning 9 games, I think the offense needs to be averaging 28 points a game, if not slightly more than that. Nebraska has, and if you're doing that and your defense is playing well, then you've probably given yourself a chance to win more often than not. And so things would look pretty good there. Individually, Adrian Martinez would have to play well, stay healthy. I think you need him for, at least 11 of your 12 games if you're going to win 9 games. And you're going to need him to play pretty well in that stretch. I would imagine other individuals that stand out in this regard. Samari Toure probably has his fingerprints on that. I don't know if he'd have a 1,000-yard season, but let's say he has 750 yards and 10 touchdowns. That would be a really good season for a Nebraska wide receiver, given what we've seen here as of late. And then from the running perspective, I don't know that there's any one individual guy. I don't anticipate anybody goes over 1,000 yards, but effective. You're effective in the opportunities that you get. Again, maybe you don't have the bell cow, but between Gabe Ervin, a healthy Marquise Stepp, Marvin Scott, Savion Morrison, you're able, and who knows, Jacquez Yant, you're able to put together enough production from your running game to be successful. But for me, it actually starts with that defense. If they continue to show that last year's progress wasn't anything that was smoke and mirrors, if they show it, they make it hold up, and they get better from it, that's your surest ticket to get closer to 9 wins.
I somewhat land on the running back room. If I'm going to look at one room and kind of digest that room, I go to the running back because I feel like that takes a lot of pressure off of Adrian Martinez. We saw all of last year of him having to run the football on 3rd down. When you don't have to do that and you have a guy in the backfield that you can rely on, 85% of the time, or a group of guys that you can rely on when it's 3rd and short to hand the ball off to, then I feel like that alleviates a lot of the pressure off of Adrian Martinez under center. And that allows him to do other things within the offense and not be our main weapon. I feel like if there's other options that you can go to, and we've talked about it, and we can say it until we're blue in the face, but I feel like a lot of it, and if we want to average 28 points, we need a running back room, and we need a guy that we can, or a group of guys at least, that we can trust to hand the football off to.
Nebraska also has to choose to play that way. I mean, that's part of it. Like you can have the running back room and you can have good running backs, but if you're not consistently giving them the ball, if you're forcing Adrian Martinez on a bunch of keepers to simulate some version of a running game, then it's simply just going to put you in a more difficult position moving forward. And so I don't anticipate that they should have a real issue with being able to at least run the ball somewhat successfully. Mm-hmm. I struggle with, are they going to be committed to doing it repeatedly, which they haven't been. And when they have, they've been relatively successful. For whatever reason, that factoid does not seem to matter when it comes to putting together the game plans.
I feel, like you just said, when they've done that and they've went that route of running the ball consistently, and that's how they want to play in some games, we see success. We saw it in the Rutgers game. Obviously, there was turnovers there, fumbles, which that's something that you have to clean up if you want anywhere close to double-digit wins. However, we saw it with Divine Ozigbo. In their first year, they chose to hand him the football more often than not, and he had a great season, a breakout year, and a year that Greg Bell came in and was the guy that they were expecting to lean on, and he just did not pan out. So then they went to Divine Ozigbo, handed him the football more times than not, and he had a great year in his last year at Nebraska, and something that they had not expected to or it was somebody that they did not expect to incorporate much into the offense.
He was like third on the depth chart.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so that's where I think, like you just said, is if they just choose to incorporate that, but then it's just mind-boggling when they don't. And it's then you find there's no success in throwing the bubble screens or just from an outside perspective. And so it's kind of just mind-boggling to see why they keep going back to this. However, the defense obviously is going to play a big role, and it's part of making sure that this defense last year, it wasn't a fluke and that they've had improvement. And I always go off of what we can see on the field, obviously what there's box scores, because we hear so much from this staff about how they've had great practices. That's all we talk about a lot of the times, is that they're getting it back to the way they were in the 90s and the hard-nosed football. However, when they're talking about that in offense, then we don't see it transition on the football field, where on defense, we've seen it with Eric Shenander's squad.
Yeah, and there's no doubt that the offense has to take a big step forward if you're going to win 9 games. And I completely agree with that. And the running game is definitely a piece of it. Adrian being more consistent is certainly going to be a part of that. I think we struggled so much to try to identify what ails this team, because it's not just one thing, but when you look at it, the offense just doesn't do anything particularly well. So it makes it relatively hard to score points when you have one player in Adrian that's clearly better than his surrounding cast, as he was last year. You lean really hard on specifically the quarterback run game. It makes it pretty difficult to be successful offensively. And then you factor in the turnovers, Nebraska's bad special teams. I mean, that was another thing that plays into the 9 wins. They've got to be better on kickoff and punt coverage, because you cannot give away as many yards as Nebraska seemingly does every single week and be successful. So there's, I don't think 9 wins is out of the realm of possibility, but a version of Nebraska that we haven't seen under this staff would have to be consistently playing week in and week out. I mean, if you were to isolate when Nebraska has looked the absolute best under this coaching staff, it's probably like a 3-week stretch in late October, early November of 2018. And that version included like beating up on Bethune-Cookman, beating Minnesota, losing to Ohio State, beating Illinois. And then I think they had one more win in there against
Michigan State.
And then you lose to I'm like, that stretch is the best we saw of Nebraska over the last 3 years. If that version can do it over 12 games, are they a 9-win team? Maybe. You need to have some things break your way.
Absolutely. And 402-464-5685, Starter Heyman text line, Honda Lincoln hotline. Both those are open for you. I want to hear your guys' thoughts on this. Wet Blanket says that, you named 7 offensive skill players. 6 of those guys haven't even recorded a yard on offense. There's going to be a point in time where we have to ditch this narrative that these newcomers, or maybe not ditch the narrative, where we just need to have these newcomers start to produce. They're going to have to, if we want to be successful.
I mean, you're counting on them to be involved to a degree. Like if you're only basing it off of returning production, then there's no way Nebraska's offense is going to be any better, because the returning production at running back is. So you have to project, and we're projecting that they're going to be able to do something on the football field. And I definitely get that point, but every team has to replace players. Like, Nebraska's not unique in that aspect. And sometimes the players that do the replacing end up being better than what they are replacing. So in Nebraska's case, 9 wins, you're probably going to have to be better on offense, which means you're probably going to be better than the players that came before you.
Obviously, Nebraska's offensive line is young, and there's obviously a greater expectation this year with the experience that they got last year. Do you think that having some part of having a consistent running game and choosing to run the football can help improve that offensive line, or is it just them that they need to just improve with experience?
I think it's all of it. I mean, that's such a cop-out answer, and I acknowledge that, but it's a commitment to running the football, followed by the offensive line making it easier for you to be committed to running the football because they're doing their job. It's someone like Turner Corcoran, who he's not going to be at Brendan Hymas's level right away, but maybe he can show up and play well early, and then suddenly you're not having a drop off on your offensive line. It's someone like Ethan Piper taking the next step that now he's played these games. He needs to be better than just okay. You need him to be good. It's Cam Jurgens eliminating the snapping issues. It's Bryce Benhart being better against pass rushers, but also being effective as a offensive lineman and creating space. And then whoever at that right guard spot as they sort of see how that plays out. But I think it all sort of, as I said, works together. If that offensive line does a nice job early in the season and they can be counted on, which then allows you to continue to feed the running back. It all works in sync. And if the offensive line is playing well, but it doesn't create holes for the running backs, or the offensive line is playing poor and it doesn't create holes for the running back, where does it all go? It falls on Adrian.
Yeah. And
that's how you get into this same cycle that we've seen in 2019, 2020, where nothing's working. Adrian will just have to do it.
And I don't think
that hasn't worked.
No. And he hasn't stayed healthy as a result of that.
Right.
And I feel like that's a major key. And I'm not saying that that's something that we haven't come to realize or come to think about. However, I think that's a major key in the success of this football program is having a reliable guy at quarterback that we know how he can run the offense. And I think it's safe to say you and I aren't making excuses on why this football team, whether it's the lack of newcomer productivity or anything like that. I don't think we're making excuses. We're just calling it is what it is. And these guys just haven't been producing. The new guys haven't been producing. And eventually, if you want to become a successful football program, you need guys to step up and be that guy that they can hand the ball off to, or they can throw a pass to, and you can body a defensive backup going and high point in the football.
Right.
And so I feel like we're not making excuses, but I feel like we are just calling a spade and saying, hey, this is the product that we can see on the field. And that's going to be, personally for me, that's going to be my opinion on everything until I see something different. So we're going to take an early break here. Good stuff there. Let us know on the text line if you have other thoughts, if you disagree or agree for that matter. Either way, when we come back, we're going to dive into a little bit of NBA talk. The playoffs game 5 between the Suns and Clippers is tonight. And then we're going to make Connor Happer on the road happy, talking about instant replay and arguing about that.
Man. We don't want to make Happer happy.
True. Good point. More up next on The Drive.
This is The Drive on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Water heater gone? Call Bryant. The price you're quoted is the price you'll pay. And in most cases, same-day replacement. Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing. 467-1111. We do whatever it takes.
Mike Shaver here. Farrell's Extreme Body Shaving changed my life the past few years with their 10-week challenge. And now you can get your life and fitness back on track too. Build muscle, burn fat, and lose weight with the 10-week challenge with orientation on July 10th and the workouts starting July 12th. Their teamwork, accountability, and results keep you going 45 minutes at a time. And if you can't make it to the gym, they have an at-home video component now. Sign up today for the Farrell's 10-week challenge and mention the ticket for a 50% discount at fxblincoln.com.
In the wake of the COVID-19 pandemic, volunteers across Nebraska have banded together to help our communities weather the storm. Let's take a day to honor their outstanding service through the Step Forward Awards. If you know someone who's made a difference in this difficult time, nominate them for the Disaster Volunteer Award. Go to serve.nebraska.gov and click Nominate Now. That's serve.nebraska.gov and click Nominate Now. Sponsored by Serve Nebraska, aired by the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Herrick Services takes this time to wish everyone a happy and healthy Independence Day weekend. We live in the greatest country in the world and are thankful for our freedoms that are signified by this holiday and the sacrifices made to make it possible. This important message comes to you from Bart, Mike, and the folks down at Herrick Services, your vending specialist here in Lincoln. Their quality service and expertise has earned them a fine reputation. That's Herrick Services, on the air because they care.
The Mercado by Certified Piedmontese Beef is Lincoln's newest full-service butcher shop, offering premium fresh-cut steaks and house-made sausages daily from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. They exclusively carry certified Piedmontese beef raised right here in Nebraska. When shopping at the Mercado, you're not only supporting local, but also enjoying the official beef of Nebraska Athletics. With prime-grade tenderness and unparalleled nutritionals, your backyard barbecue is about to get a serious upgrade. Stop into the Mercado today, located off 84th and Havelock in Lincoln.
Get in, get out, and get your hands on a great career.
Did you know Southeast Community College offers short-term training and almost 20 programs of study? That means you can get your certificate at SCC and get right to work without spending years in school. You can train at one of our 3 campus locations in Beatrice, Lincoln, or Milford, or our 6 learning centers across Southeast Nebraska. If you want to find your next step, visit southeast.edu/academics. SCC, your path to possible.
In honor of all those who made the ultimate sacrifice in the defense of our nation, and for those who are currently deployed on the front lines around the world to ensure the freedom we enjoy, let us join together as one community, one nation with one voice to salute our troops. That message courtesy of Black Diamond Enterprises, your complete landscape contractors with a reputation for quality work at prices you can afford. For an estimate, call 402-782-2101. That's Black Diamond Enterprises in Walton, on the air because they care. In honor of all those who made the ultimate sacrifice in the defense of our nation, and for those who are currently deployed on the front lines around the world to ensure the freedom we enjoy, let us join together as one community, one nation with one voice to salute our troops. That message courtesy of Anytime Heating and Air Conditioning, your complete HVAC contractors with a reputation for quality work at prices you can afford. For an estimate, call 402-440-5501. That's Anytime Heating and Air Conditioning in Denton, on the air because they care. Ken Richards has long been a trusted name in Lincoln for insurance, and he's now with Brokers Insurance Agency with the same great service as always. Brokers Insurance Agency works with more than 15 companies to help find the best policy for you to avoid any long hassles. Also, if you're looking to get into the insurance business as an independent agent, they have the formula to make that process smooth and successful. Call Ken with Brokers Insurance Agency today at 402-420-5353 or visit brokersinsurancenE.com.
You're listening to The Drive with Connor Happer and Ravi Lula, sponsored by the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese.
Back here on The Drive, 93.7 The Ticket, ticketfm.com. Nick Sainert, Mike Schaefer in. You'll be hearing a lot from us the next 3 days.
Two
2 days.
entirely different beards than Ravi and Happer.
Yeah. I'm working at it. I had a mishap a couple days ago.
Oh, no.
I want to hear if you've ever had this, actually, before we get to the NBA talk here. Have you ever had it? I don't know if you do electric razor. We obviously don't have those conversations. But
we can. I'm very open.
Okay, good. So I had it where I was trying to trim it up to keep it nice and clean and clean cut. And I took the wrong guard and I completely shaved the whole thing off.
Yep.
Worst day of my life.
I have had mishaps like that where you aren't paying close enough attention to the guard and you don't realize that you didn't move it back from zero to, because you know you do zero to try to shape certain parts of it, and then you have to go down to zero to take the guard off to then get rid of the hair. And so I have definitely, I think one of my more notable ones is right before Nebraska played in San Antonio. I was shaving before we left to go down to that basketball game. So we were driving to San Antonio, and I screwed it up. And I thought that I could hide it with like the rest of my beard being relatively thick and just try to like comb it over. And then I just gave up on it and went to a goatee, which is the worst.
Yeah.
Like I
feel like that's the ultimate old man facial hair.
The goatee, growing up, the goatee was like the younger guy thing. And the mustache and a beard was the old man thing. And then it flipped to now where beards and mustaches are very cool. And goatees generally are like, oh, that guy must be in like his late 40s.
Yeah. I feel like that's the ultimate dad move.
Yeah. So that was, I've had that mishap happen a couple times. I once had a electric razor quit in the middle of me shaving my face. Like it just, my hair, I have pretty thick facial hair. It just jammed the whole thing. It was like a crappy razor. And so it just wouldn't work anymore. And so I had to go to Target with half of my face shaved and buy a new, like, because it was just an old electric razor, like it was going to give out, and it gave out in the middle of shaving. So I was like, had half my face shaved, just went in and bought it. And the guy like checked it out. And he's like, oh,
I see what happened.
Something happened here. I was like, yeah.
I came to
give me this, let me go. I don't want people to look at me.
I came to the realization that I need to keep as much facial hair as possible because I was told that I looked 16 without a beard, without any facial hair, and I don't want that. So moving on, NBA discussion before we get to the instant replay discussion here. So there's a little bit of beef going on with Damian Lillard and Portland. Portland, the Trailblazers hired Chauncey Billups as their new head coach over the weekend, and Damian Lillard, right after they fired their coach Terry Stotts, Lillard publicly said that he wanted either Chauncey Billups or Jason Kidd. Well, Jason Kidd wasn't going anywhere but Dallas, so that left Chauncey Billups.
Why did Rick Carlisle get pushed out there?
I feel like after
something
a while,
happened with their whole front office.
Yeah, I feel like after a while, especially in professional organizations, you just kind of need a fresh face. And I feel like that was the deal with Rick Carlisle. And now he's going to get a nice little chunk in Indiana with, I think he signed 4 years, $29 million. He's a good coach. I just think it was more of needed a fresh face down in Dallas. And it just was the timing with Jason Kidd, and he was ready to become a head coach or be a head coach again. And that's just how it kind of all went down. But now Damian Lillard might not even be in Portland, and he might not finish his career in Portland like many people are expecting, because Chauncey Billups, if you guys didn't know, he was accused of rape back in 1997, and there were allegations, and the way it all went down, he settled with the accuser and all that. It's come up very seldom, but when he's been in the talks for a job, it's come up. It came up with the Cavs in 2015. It's come up now again. Basically, the people in Portland are mad at Damian Lillard because they feel like he was okay with this hire and he knew about the allegations, and he was still okay with this hire. He still okayed the hire because obviously Damian Lillard as a superstar, has quite a bit of say in it. And so I feel like, and now Damian came out on Twitter and was saying how, I had no idea about the allegations, and obviously he takes that very seriously and stuff, but there's a chance that Damian could not fit or won't finish his career in Portland. And that's crazy to me that the Portland fan base would be okay with him leaving.
Yeah. I mean, that's such a weird era of sports, because you have Damian Lillard responding on Twitter to various people who basically aren't involved in the they don't know how the process worked. They don't know for sure that Damian Lillard was the only reason that Chauncey Billups ended up in Portland. And it is just it's not his job to hire the coach. I understand that he wants involvement on it, but ultimately he's not the owner. And so it just feels like it's a little bit of misplaced anger towards him, which he did endorse Billups' candidacy, but at the same time, that's not the same thing as being the one to hire the guy. And it's also just, like I said, it just feels like misplaced. It's kind of what happened with Greg Schiano in some regards with Tennessee, where they go to hire Greg Schiano, and it gets brought up that he was alleged to have some sort of involvement with the Sandusky thing, which wasn't particularly truthful or accurate. And then, Tennessee fans decide this is why they don't want him anymore. He's no longer a candidate there. Goes to Ohio State. Now he's at Rutgers, and Rutgers is going to do pretty well with it. Yeah. But I'm very curious what happens with this, because, it's hard not to think of, when you think of a player synonymous with a city in the NBA right now, that's about as strong of a link as you have, save for Steph Curry, Golden State. And that's not even really one city. That's the Bay Area. I'm trying to think who else would be on that level.
Maybe Luka and Dallas.
Not
even close though to that level yet.
Maybe Giannis in Milwaukee. Maybe. Neither of the two Philadelphia guys yet. There's just been so much player movement that it's hard to even he's the most synonymous with a city guy in the NBA, I think.
Well, and we were just talking before or during the break that his time of being a superstar, it very well could be coming to an end here in the next couple years. You don't know what his production level is going to be like down the road. You don't know what Portland's team is going to look like down the road, just because there is so much player movement nowadays. And so he wants to win a ring. That's the main goal. is he wants to win a ring. He's gotten close. He's gotten to the playoffs, but he can only carry his team so far. McCollum, he's spotty. He's sometimes reliable. Sometimes he's not. He just falls off the face of the earth. So a lot of times Damian has to play at a superstar level, which there's always that one guy. We're seeing it with Trae Young kind of doing it now with Atlanta. There's always that one guy that takes the lead role, and Damian's been that guy. But however, you don't know how much longer he's going to be able to do that, especially at a place like Portland, especially in a conference like the Western Conference.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, what do the Trailblazers have if they move on from Damian, or if he forces his way out? Then you restart the rebuild.
Yeah.
To try to get back to the point where you're consistently making the playoffs like they are now.
And it very well, like you said at the beginning, is Chauncey Billups could just have been the best coach available. And that's it. He probably was at that time, or that's who Portland thought is the best coach available. However, they might have hurt themselves releasing their final 3 candidates with Becky Hammon and D'Antoni and then Chauncey Billups, obviously. And so they could have hurt themselves releasing that final 3. A couple of texts saying Kyle Lowry in Toronto could be similar.
Okay. I like that one. They did win a
all.
title, but he's not the exact reason they wanted to. But exactly. I like that one. That's a good one.
No, absolutely. And then the Joker in Denver. I feel like that's still
close.
Not
that's close.
As
it's definitely closer than Luka. Closer than I still think Giannis is the closest to Dame at this point.
Here's a question for you. So I don't know if you've seen, but I have noticed or read that the ratings in the playoffs have actually gone up since LeBron got eliminated. How much are you reading into that? Or like about super teams, and how much are you reading into that? Because necessarily, I think it's just good quality basketball. Because the story with Trae Young is fascinating in my opinion. I did not think Trae Young was going to develop into a somewhat of a superstar, but he's made a name for himself in the playoffs here.
I think we ascribe too much to the television ratings to why it all sort of comes together. It's like, oh, well, there's not any superstars or big markets, so no one's going to watch. Where it's like, actually, more people probably objectively care on a ratio of what happens with the Suns than the sort of like, I'll pop in if LeBron's playing type people. So it's kind of a fascinating deal. I find myself more interested in these playoffs because there are no super teams, assuming the Suns eliminate what isn't a super team anymore with the Clippers, but arguably was when Kawhi Leonard was healthy. And then, I am enjoying the fact that Trae Young and the Atlanta Hawks, I mean, I know they got absolutely demolished here recently, but how did that play out? They played last night, right?
Yeah, so Milwaukee came back in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, so I was thinking game 2 they got demolished.
Middleton just caught on fire.
And then it's Milwaukee 2-1. I to be honest, I forgot about last night's game. I was thinking of game 2.
Mm-hmm.
But the Hawks are interesting. You just have these sort of media markets where it's the Phoenix Suns, the Utah Jazz. I mean, Jazz are a small market, so it's just a different vibe in the NBA as of late with these playoffs right now. I mean, it's the Clippers are obviously in a much larger market, but if you would have had Jazz versus Suns in the finals, I mean, the television ratings, maybe they don't go bonanza, but the atmosphere in those crowds. I mean, when you watch a Suns game right now, like that seems like a lot of fun. They're loud.
It's because they're just not used to it.
Right. And I think that makes it fun and sort of more interesting to me.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I always find myself paying more attention, and this may be bad to say, but I do find myself actually watching the bulk of a game when it's the conference finals and then the NBA finals, when there's more on the line, I should say.
Oh yeah.
I don't necessarily stay tuned to every single game when it was, sorry, Rico, but when it was the Knicks and Hawks, I didn't pay attention to every single game unless I was a fan of that team, obviously.
Yeah, I generally tell people that my NBA viewership goes way up when you hit the second round of the playoffs. So, I barely watch any regular season. I know enough of what's happening to keep an eye on it. The Suns have been sort of fascinating because they added Chris Paul, and that move alone shouldn't make them as much of a contender as they have been. And yet they're one win away from going to the NBA finals with what is actually a really kind of fun group. I mean, with Ayton and with Booker and with Cam Johnson and what they're putting together there, you add in the steady veteran hand of Chris Paul, and it's like suddenly it doesn't seem like a fluke that they were the 2 seed. No one thought they were that good. I mean, the Lakers were supposed to win that series, and yet the Suns could come out of this as the team in the West. I mean, that's pretty cool.
It shows how much of a difference a veteran can make on a team if he plays basketball the right way and he fits your style. Because Chris Paul has made the Suns a much better team than anybody. If Cam Payne was the starting point guard, they'd be fine. They probably would have still made the playoffs, obviously. But Chris Paul takes them to that next level because he knows how to handle a team of 2 stars in Devin Booker and DeAndre Ayton. So staying with the Suns before we head to break for one final time.
I got a question for you when you're done with this.
No, what's up?
You want me?
Yes.
My question now?
This isn't very important.
What is what's your preferred matchup for the NBA Finals?
I think it'd be fun to see the Suns and Hawks.
Okay.
Hawks
over the Bucks.
Yeah, I really think so.
Who has the most pressure to win a title right now of the 4 teams left?
Ooh. Well, obviously it'll narrow down to the Bucks and the Clippers, in my opinion. I'd say my mind is telling me it's the Clippers, but for some reason I feel like it should be the Bucks.
I think it's, to me, either the Bucks or the Suns.
Why the Suns?
Because conventional wisdom is that you should get multiple shots at this if you make it once with the sort of run that they have. Tell me how many times the Thunder made it after they got swept by the Heat, or Dallas won their title in 2011.
Yeah.
And they made it in 2006. They didn't make it again until 2011. And this is very much personal experience because of the teams that I root for.
Mm-hmm.
When your team is there and it's not generally in the market of which they are usually going to be, never assume that they're ever going to get back there. And so that's why it's like this Sun season feels like a storybook run. And I don't think this is going to, what they're doing isn't sustainable in the sense that they would be the NBA favorites next year. It's more likely to me that if they don't finish this off with a title, this is their closest run that they're going to get for the next 10 years.
I think
that's more likely.
Who would you put as the favorite right now?
The Bucks.
Okay.
They have the best player.
I would go with the Suns because I feel like
they have the best team and maybe the best coach.
There's a formula out there on how to stop Giannis.
Yeah. But the Bucks are more than just Giannis.
I agree. I think Chris Middleton's very underrated. We saw it last night. He outscored the Hawks. However, the Hawks in the fourth quarter, I should say.
Giannis versus Ayton would be a lot of fun.
That would be a lot of fun to see. Also, you have Jay Crowder down there that you can kind of just put there to take up space as well, which I feel like Giannis, I don't know. I feel like there's obviously something missing from Giannis's game, and it can be the free throw shooting. It can be the perimeter shot as well. However, I just haven't seen enough to where I can say he is. If the Bucks are to win an NBA Finals, I can't say for a fact that Giannis would be the MVP.
Ooh. I have a tough time imagining someone else would be unless Middleton just goes bananas.
Which I see that as a possibility.
Yeah.
I could see that as a possibility.
Or, Drew Holiday has been very good for them too.
That was a good trade. I believe he came from the Pelicans, I believe. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So that worked out well for them. So real quickly here, instant replay. So it actually came up in game 4 between the Suns and Clippers. So with less than 10 seconds, I believe, in the game, but Nicholas Batum hit the ball out of Cameron Payne's hands, went out of bounds. They immediately said it was the Suns' ball when the Suns were up by 2, and they did not review it. In game 2, they spent the last 90 seconds of the game reviewing 5 times, and it took 33 minutes, I believe, is what the stat was. I worry if we get to this point that we are so used to reviewing. There's a ton of backlash right now for, they didn't review that play, and that could have switched the whole course of the game there in the final 10 seconds. I'm worried that we're going to get to a point where we rely on replay to determine the outcome of a game, because they said, oh yeah, man, they reviewed so many plays in game 2, but now in game 4, they don't review the 1. And obviously they probably didn't review it because they knew they'd get backlash for reviewing it. But are we really going to, it's coming back to bite us in the butt here, to where it's saying that we're relying on instant replay so much to determine the outcome of game, and to make sure we're so concerned about getting it right because of replay that we almost don't even trust our own instinct or our ability to go to replay review to determine a call.
Yeah, I mean, I would assume that whoever made that call felt incredibly correct to the point where it didn't need to be reviewed. I think that the NBA has a system in place where if there's something that they see off-site that they feel like needs to be reviewed, it can be signaled to the officials, and the officials have the ability to throw it back to the NBA center too by just turning and going like this, making the motion with your finger to the scoreboard. So there's enough fail safes in play there that if something needs to be reviewed, it should, and it doesn't have to disrupt the flow of the basketball game necessarily. But I don't want to be at the point where every single time a ball gets knocked out of bounds, it has to be reviewed.
And I worry that we're at that point already where it has happened in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Where in the final moments of the games it has. So then when it doesn't happen, we get mad because we didn't review it. And it's almost like you're never going to win either. From an emotion standpoint, you're never going to win.
Yeah.
You're never going to be able to, the officials are never going to do the right thing, whether they call it to go to review or whether they don't go to review.
They have to figure out a system in which that you can have reviews without having it feel like it takes over the entirety of a basketball game.
Yeah.
Which is not how it's felt for most of this playoff.
I was reminded once again, and I don't know how you feel about this, and I don't know what you guys have said previously about instant review and stuff, or instant replay. But man, I was watching Wimbledon today, and the way that Wimbledon or tennis in general has their replay review.
No, the Hawkeye system.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Because man, they challenge it, they see whether or not the ball was in, touch the line, whether or not it was out, and bam, we're ready to play again.
Yep.
And it was just it's simple.
It's incredible, and there's so many times just watching different tennis matches where it's like, oh yeah, that's definitely out. Then they do it, and it's like, oh.
It was much closer than I thought.
Like 1/16 of the diameter of this ball nudged that line, and so it's actually in. And then the ability for some of the people to actually see that, or to be able to have the wherewithal to challenge.
Oh, I admire the line judges at tennis tournaments because it's unbelievable. So
yeah, absolutely.
One final break here on The Drive. We'll round out the show next on 93.7 The Ticket.
This is The Drive on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. 93.7 The Ticket, Fox, KFXL weather. Sponsored by Security First Bank, a relationship you can count on.
Your KFXL Fox Nebraska weather tonight, mostly cloudy, a 40% chance of showers and storms. Overnight lows 65. Isolated storms possible Tuesday, otherwise partly cloudy, highs around 85. I'm KFXL Chief Forecaster Ken Boughton for 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Ambition Electric is your source for quality, reliable electrical work. Joe has been in the business for 20 years and loves helping his community of customers to design visions and spark their dreams to life. With Ambition Electric, what you see is what you get. They honor the price they tell you and never go over budget. Whether they're checking your lights, changing out your service panel, or replacing your receptacles, they'll do the job with attention to detail and no cutting corners and with safe and thorough work. Call Ambition Electric today at 402-217-3415 or go to ambitionelectric.com.
The Mercado by Certified Piedmontese Beef is Lincoln's newest full-service butcher shop, offering premium fresh-cut steaks and house-made sausages daily from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. They exclusively carry certified Piedmontese beef raised right here in Nebraska. When shopping at the Mercado, you're not only supporting local, but also enjoying the official beef of Nebraska Athletics. With prime-grade tenderness and unparalleled nutritionals, your backyard barbecue is about to get a serious upgrade. Stop into the Mercado today, located off 84th and Havelock in Lincoln.
Hi, Charlie Stone here for Honda of Lincoln, and before I bring out Andy Goodyear, I want to share this with you. I'm sure you've heard most auto dealers are very low or have no new cars to sell. For those of you who really want or need a new or pre-owned vehicle right now, Honda of Lincoln has more than 900 new Hondas in stock or on the way, and a great selection of pre-owned vehicles to choose from. Plus, you can still get financing from 0% APR or special factory lease rates. Andy, how did you get so many cars?
There are three primary reasons. One, we are the oldest and largest volume Honda dealer in Nebraska. Two, we are a 15-time Honda President's Award winning dealer and the only Nebraska dealer to receive it in 2020. And three, our customer satisfaction index with Honda is very high. When you combine all three, Honda helps us have the cars and trucks on our lot.
Thanks, Andy. Come experience the Honda of Lincoln way of doing business. 27th and Yankee Hill or online at hondaoflincoln.com.
Security First Bank. We're the bank, and we make your mortgage more manageable with flexible terms, trusted advice, and competitive rates. When you work with us, we'll know your name, but we'll also get to know your home dreams too. Security First Bank of Lincoln. Voted best small bank in Nebraska by Newsweek magazine. Member FDIC, equal housing lender. NMLS number 505011.
Hey, sports fans. Rico here with HIS Auto Care 70th and Van Dorn. Carfax recently awarded us as a top-rated auto service center for 2020, and Lincoln Choice Awards voted us as the 2021 top independent auto repair center. Call us at 402-488-8934 for superior service bumper to bumper. Mention this ad and get 7% off. Doesn't get any better than that. Rico for his Auto Care, 70th and Van Dorn. God bless you.
Since 1905, Sartor Heyman Jewelers has been through many world-changing events. We have stood strong with you and at times held on with you through the storms. Sartor Heyman is not just a jewelry store. We are 4 generations of family in the Nebraska community. We've laughed with you, celebrated with you, and at times cried with you. We're still here and strong as ever, waiting to serve you. We'll get through this together. Sartor Heyman, your hometown jeweler since 1905, official jeweler of Husker Nation.
At Buffalo Wings and Rings, they've crafted a new league of superior chicken sandwiches. Meet the Ringers. It's premium, house-made, beer-battered, fried chicken served buffalo, Korean, or MVP style. Head to Buffalo Wings and Rings Lincoln and raise a glass to superior chicken. 2 locations at 68th and O and at 40th and Old Cheney. Buffalo Wings and Rings.
Your home isn't going to fix itself, and you're busy enough as it is. So let Cornhusker Construction put the work in to upgrade your house. They do everything interior and exterior, including full remodel jobs. Are your kitchen and bathrooms outdated? Cornhusker Construction can help with that with new flooring, painting, drywall, and anything else. Take advantage of their summer sale with 4% off for the rest of the summer. Call in today at 308-708-0709. Cornhusker Construction.
You're listening to The Drive with Connor Happer and Robbie Lula, sponsored by the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese.
One final time here, Nick Sainer, Mike Schaefer, rounding out the show here. A little bit of NBA news is that the Warriors may be exploring an option to trade James Wiseman and the number 7 overall pick in upcoming draft for Pascal Siakam. We were talking before. We don't think this draft is very deep.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I can't profess to know a ton about the NBA draft, but it just doesn't feel like there's like a whole host of names where it's like, oh yeah, if you don't get the number 1 guy, at least you can get one of these 4. And maybe it's just I'm not as familiar with it because I wasn't as in tune with college basketball this year, but I don't know. We'll see how that sort of plays out. But it just doesn't feel like there's just kind of the Cade Cunningham's the obvious name. And then after that, it just feels like you're missing a couple people. And I felt that way with last year's draft too, whereas Wiseman was someone that I actually thought he should have went first. Just based on talent alone, but we'll see. It's interesting that Golden State's already ready to move on from him, though.
I am interested in that as well. I didn't think that. I thought they liked what they had in James Wiseman.
Yeah.
I thought. I mean, obviously they didn't have Klay Thompson this
year. It makes
me
wonder if they feel like they need someone that's more ready to go because Wiseman might still be sort of developing, whereas Siakam has kind of a ready-made piece for you know Steph Curry wants to compete now.
Well, and rightfully so. Steph Curry, I'm 30, 31. He's got to be up there.
Yeah.
And so I was saying the same situation as Damian Lillard, like we were just talking about a couple minutes ago, is that his time is running out on to win a championship probably, unless he wants to join one of the super teams or whatever you want to call them. And now is the time to do it. And maybe, like you said, James Wiseman's just not ready for that. Sticking with the NBA, what's your prediction tonight, Schaefer? We have the Suns and the Clippers at 8 p.m. tonight. It's in Phoenix. Do the Phoenix Suns close it out?
Yeah, I think they close them out. I think the Clippers got a little bit of a dead man walking. Suns are the better team. They're going to win this series. It's a matter of whether they win it in this game or the next one. I think they do it in 5.
Now, Kendrick Perkins actually made a little bit of news today. We have a couple minutes left.
Kendrick Perkins making news.
Kendrick Perkins.
Who'd he fight in a back alley this time?
Nobody, apparently. He says that Chris Paul should have won the MVP over Nikola Jokic. Instant reaction.
That's hard to do. I mean, I don't know. Like, Chris Paul has been very, very valuable, absolutely. But like, from a statistical standpoint, he's not more valuable than what, Denver got. And so it's just it would be a tough sell for me on that one. But he's an extremely valuable piece, and he's about to take a team to the NBA Finals.
Absolutely. And I think we forget that if Denver had Jamal Murray healthy, this is a team that we're talking about in the NBA Finals as well.
Especially with the way the draw and everything broke out. I mean,
absolutely.
They obviously got swept by the Suns, but you put that team at full strength versus this version of the Suns, like, that's a much more interesting matchup that I could see going Denver's way.
The College World Series Finals Game 1 is in a rain delay. Jack Leiter is going on the mound for Vanderbilt. Once that game, the time is to be determined here. What's your interest level tonight, Schaefer?
Jack Leiter is a fascinating player. I'm obviously a big baseball guy, a big MLB draft guy. I have usually tried to find a way to get Jack Leiter pitch whenever he is throwing. And so I would say it's a solid 6 out of the 10 scale. So it'll be one of the televisions tonight. The Suns Clippers will be on television tonight as well. And I'll probably round it out with a terrible Cleveland and baseball game.
Cleveland, Josh Naylor, I know there hasn't been much update.
Fractured ankle, and let me look at this here. But
so
maybe it's a displaced ankle.
Either way, the collision did not look very good for Josh Naylor or the Cleveland. Granted, I don't pay attention to Cleveland baseball.
A closed fracture and dislocation of the right ankle.
How big of a piece is that for Cleveland?
Well, they don't have any depth. They don't have any hitting, and that was with Josh Naylor, who was fine. So now they're even worse because they don't have Josh Naylor, who, again, was just fine. And they're already without their entire starting rotation. Franmil Reyes has been on the IL for the last 6 weeks. So, yeah, they kind of couldn't afford this, but here they are. They get 3 with Detroit, which they have to win, because after that they get 3 with the Astros, who are playing very good baseball right now.
Yeah, good sports night ahead, College World Series and the NBA playoffs. For Mike Schaefer, I'm Nick Sander. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
The DP and Stevens Show.
Everett Gray, former UNLV star.
Some of your parents go, don't coach in the car. Stop coaching in the car. They only can play for the coach, not you. You don't say, you never hear a parent, you don't, you were terrible on your rotation on that third rotation. Right. They don't know. They don't know the rotation. They don't say that. All they say is shoot more. That's the only thing they can say.
Weekdays from 11